action with Raycom Sports and Entertainment.
1969, college football centennial year, the last day of the season, Texas versus Arkansas. Both teams undefeated, untied, rated number 1 and number 2 nationally, with the victor to become kickoff. Bill Burnett puts the Razorbacks on top 7-0. In the third quarter, Arkansas strikes again as Bill Montgomery fires to All-American receiver Chuck Dicus to make it 14-0. As the fourth quarter opens, James Street, behind the blocking of Bobby Wunsch and Bob McKay, outstreaks the Razorback defenders to make it 14-6. Gambles for 2 points on a counter option, and he gets it. Now it's 14-8. After this crucial interception by Danny Lester, Texas begins a last-ditch drive. Facing a critical 4th down and 3, Street shuns all caution and goes for the bomb. Randy Peschel gathers it in at the Arkansas 13. 2 plays later, Jim Bertelsen bashes over to tie the score. Happy Feller adds the point after, and Texas takes the game and the national championship, 15-14.
Today, Arkansas and Texas reunite for the 20th anniversary of the Big Shootout. Raycom Sports and Entertainment presents Southwest Conference Football. Today's game is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and Dr. Pepper Bottlers. By Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company. By British Airways. By Phillips 66. And by GTE. 53,000 seats have been gone for weeks for this one, the 71st renewal of the rivalry between the Longhorns and the Razorbacks. And happy to have you with us again. Dave Barnett along with Dave Rowe. When you talk about the great rivalries in college football, you can group this one with maybe 5 or 6 others in a class by themselves.
And as is true with the rivalry, throw out all the records, throw out all the schedules, throw out all the statistics, because the front page said it all. This is the game.
And it's got that historical tinge because it is the 20th anniversary of the shootout. James Street helped Texas win that one. Peter Gardere has shown a little street in him in the last 2 wins.
Well, he certainly has in his leadership. Although those completion and attempts are not really indicative of what he has led this team to. The biggest statistic is that he is 2-0 as a starter. And watch this play against Rice. He stretches, knows exactly where the end zone is, and stretches in, and they win.
And then, of course, in the Cotton Bowl last week, leading the final drive after the Longhorns had lost every game from 1984 on against the Sooners, the 25-yard pass to Johnny Walker for the touchdown, and Texas pulled off the 28-24 upset. Arkansas comes into this game not exactly unarmed, especially at running back.
Oh, boy, they have a select group of running backs. They actually have 6. These 4 are hog heaven for Kenny Hatfield. Foster, Harshaw, Rouse, and Jackson. The big one is Foster, though, with a 6.2-yard average every time he touches the football. He has yet to be stopped behind the line of scrimmage this year.
And last year they ran the flex bone all the way to the Cotton Bowl. They've changed to the I formation with still some option this year, but the trigger man is still the same, and that's Quinn Grovey.
He's the leader of this team. As he goes, so go the Razorbacks. Look at that average per carry, 7.3 yards. They'd like to have him carried a little bit less, but he is an awesome runner back.
Well, Arkansas is favored by about 2 touchdowns in this game, even though Texas has won each of their last 3 trips into the hills of Arkansas. So we are very close to kickoff tonight as the Razorbacks take on the Longhorns here in Fayetteville. Back here in Fayetteville, this is a Texas-dominated series, although the home team, as you can see, has not won since 1984. It had been since 1966. that Arkansas had not won in Austin, but they pulled that off for the last 2 trips in. And as we said, Texas is 3 for their last 3 here in Arkansas. It's a little bit cool today and very windy. It's a swirling type wind, and David McWilliams was wondering what he should do if he won the toss, and he won it and elected to defer. Arkansas will kick off, and McWilliams just hope he can pull off the magic for 3 straight weeks.
It was interesting. Both coaches came up as we look at David McWilliams and asked me when I was down there. They said, well, what would you do? Take the wind or take the ball? And Kenny Hatfield said, I said, what are you going to do, Coach? That's your decision. He said, I don't know right now. I'm putting it off.
53,000 rise to their feet here at Razorback Stadium. They've been waiting for this one a long time. The Arkansas Razorbacks, number 6 in one poll, number 7 in another, and the Longhorns hoping if they can capitalize on what they did to the Sooners last week, they might be able to sneak into a poll. Arkansas has only won in Fayetteville 3 times against Texas in school history, and the last time Texas came in number 1 in the nation in 1981, but not for long. Glenn Ray Hines kick taken and down in the end zone by Tony Jones. And Peter Gardere, the redshirt freshman, and by the way, it is Gardere, not Gardier, his dad says, comes in from Houston Lee in his 3rd consecutive start. And along with Gardere in the backfield for the Longhorns will be Chris Samuels at the tailback. Winfred Tubbs and Jason Burleson will alternate at fullback. And Burleson is in the huddle right now with the fine receiving corps of Jones, Walker, and Cash. And up front, Cunningham leads an outstanding offensive line, one that seems to improve every week.
Really important that they get off to a good start. They want to get confidence in their offense.
And they fake the end around. This is Samuels. Still haven't gotten him, and he's got a first down up near the 34-yard line. 13-14 yards for Samuels after they faked the give to Tony Jones.
Well, the fake was so quick, and they have to be aware that Tony Jones is that great running back. He has 4 runs, and they have to be aware of that. But this is just basic football. Just try to get around the corner. And he makes a nice cut back in there. Samuels is a heads-up player looking back inside, pick up every yard. That's what you want to do. You want to get confidence in this offense and take the crowd out of it. This is a massive crowd.
Tubbs is in now. He's the fullback in the eye. And Samuels again with a huge hole up the middle, and he is up near midfield. 15 yards this time for Chris Samuels, and another first down before Anthony Cooney, the weak side cornerback, made the stop for Arkansas. Up front, Long, Rowland, and Shepard. We'll also see a lot of Tony Allison at one defensive tackle. Benson, Barrow, Thomas, and Mason in the 3-4. And the secondary is outstanding with James Williams Jackson, the converted running back, and Cooney, who just made the tackle. So they've opened up 2 gaping holes already on their first 2 offensive plays. Flag down, early movement by Texas, and again, nice running room for Samuels. But they will apparently move back the 6 or 7 yard pickup. The referee is Frank Shepard.
Well, that's going to show you illegal motion against Texas, but what an interesting play on that one. They bring the wing back in and they trap on the middle linebacker. And there, of course, is a Texas must. What they must do to win. They have to maintain the confidence that they got last week, especially with that great win over Oklahoma. They have to slow Arkansas's great running attack. Arkansas coming into this game is averaging about 5.5 yards a carry, 340 yards a game, and of course involve Tony Jones more. He's been kind of quiet, and he's such a dynamic player.
And of course, as they double team him, that has led to the emergence of Johnny Walker in their passing game. This is Adrian Walker, the redshirt freshman from Tyler, and Bubba Barrow does not allow him the corner.
And that's the way you stop a sweep. Run it all the way to the sidelines, and when they run out of room, they step on the white stripe outside. Nice play there by Bubba Barrow.
First time they've tried to go wide since that opening fake reverse sweep. They've had the holes up the middle.
Yeah, they really did. Now it's going to put a lot of pressure on Gardere.
Second down, and we'll call it 16 from their own 44-yard line. And the straight drop. Open over the middle is Kerry Cash, and he can't find his feet.
Well, I was down on that turf, and the turf is it's a little bit slippery down there. It's a well-packed turf. It's not a new turf, so when he turned around, he just lost his footing.
Cash, of course, one of the twin Cash brothers, the juniors from San Antonio. We expect to see a lot of Keith today as well. And a gain of only 4 on the second down play. So 3rd and long. And the penalty really looming large for Texas after they had come out of the chute so well. Jones, the man in motion, and Gardere again straight back. Outstanding protection, and he's got Johnny Walker, and the Horns have another first down. The 33 of Arkansas, where Ty Mason makes the tackle after a gain of 19.
Well, he had all the time in the world to throw. Watch Walker come down there. He's just going to curl inside. He gives a little fake outside, and all he's going to do is curl right back inside. Now he's a big target because there's no rush on him. The defensive line, they elected to rush 3, drop 8 back, and there was no rush on Gardere.
This is how Texas opened offensively last week against OU. Walker, more big running room, and 8 yards on this first down carry. Again into the secondary, and Cooney called on to make the stop.
And boy, I'll tell you one thing, it has taken the crowd. The crowd right now is stunned. I mean, everyone, there's 50-some thousand people here, and they're all dressed in red, and they are quiet. They cannot believe that Texas has taken this ball from its own 20 and now driven to the 26-yard line of Arkansas.
And particularly the way they've done it. They're only the 6th best rushing team in the Southwest Conference. You would never know that from this opening drive. On 2nd and 2, Samuels cut back inside, first down. Tackle made by Mick Thomas, who's the leading Arkansas tackler. The sophomore out of Bakersfield, California, and the Horns continue to march.
Well, in talking with David McWilliams and, of course, his staff, they said the one thing that Gardere has in the huddle is that he's a leader. When he gets in there, he doesn't have that glazed over look like a freshman has. He's got the confidence, and he's in that huddle right now taking charge, saying, don't fumble, don't give this ball up. We're in great scoring position, and we are on a march.
His numbers for the year took over as the starter a couple of weeks ago. They're glad he did. Samuels, this time they do stop him. They block that hole, and it was Mick Thomas, one of the inside linebackers. And really, Dave, the first time they've done that up here.
It really is. It's the first time they've been able to stop him. One thing that Texas did in those first 3 or 4 runs is they sustained their blocks very well. It was a little bit slow getting in there, but they sustained their blocks. And when you sustain your blocks, that means that you've got that defensive man tied up where he can't come off and make that tackle, and that's why they were able to find the hole. Big play here, 2nd down. I know they have, of course, 2 more downs, but this is a big down. You want to get at least 5 or 6 yards on this play to put the pressure back on the defense.
And 3 wideouts. And Walker and Jones both wide right. Now Jones into your picture in motion. And here is the end around, and there is where it will end. At the 33-yard line, as footing again becomes a problem.
Well, I talked about the turf being a packed turf. Someone told me yesterday, I can't recall who it was, but someone said they are going to replace this turf. But watch how wide open Tony Jones was on this play. Now, there's no one even near him. He just slips and goes down. You can see they had a great block out there. There was no one even close to him. Boy, that is a big play.
Jones this year has averaged 11.4 on his receptions, but on running plays, he's averaged nearly 22 yards per carry. That's why they went to him there.
Oh, and it was there.
So they need 21 yards on 3rd down. Gardere again a lot of time, and he's got Gary Cash. He will not have the first down, but they're in much better field goal shape at the 17-yard line. Barrow and Jackson converging for the stop.
And if Arkansas elects to run those three linemen up there, they're only allowing 3 linemen to rush. That big offensive line of Texas can certainly control them. You almost have to blitz somebody to get pressure on this young quarterback. You have to rattle him. Right now, they're not rattling him. He has all the time in the world to stand back there.
Clemens will try a 34-yarder. The angle is left to right. And out of the hold of Bobby Liljadal, he has got it up and good.
And the kick is good.
And listen how quiet the crowd is. You can hear whistles down on the field.
There are a few folks in orange, and you can hear them, and the Longhorns have come out very strong on their first possession here in Fayetteville. Texas takes the opening kickoff, drives it down, and until Tony Jones fumbles on an end around where it looked very much like he might score, he had everything in front of him. They have to settle for the 34-yard Wayne Clemens field goal after a 10-play drive. It ate up over 5 minutes, and the Horns lead at 3-0.
Well, you run that reverse play when you get that over pursuit, and Arkansas had pursued strongly. They had the perfect block on the backside, but Tony Jones just slipped down on the turf. We talked about it, and we were down on the field, and it is a very packed artificial turf. Most turfs have a grain to it. This was kind of crunched down, crunched and kind of flattened. They say the turf is about 6 or 7 years old, and they're going to replace it within a year or two.
And you saw where Barry Foster is awaiting this kick. He's all the way up to the 10-yard line because Clemens kicks into that stiff breeze, and he rolls it. And picked up at the 20 by Juju Harshaw. Flag is down, so we'll have to see if the Razorbacks are going to hang on to this good field position at the 37-yard line.
Well, where that flag is down, you would almost think it was the receiving team offside because the flag is thrown right on the 50-yard line.
Well, it was the kicking team.
Well, it was the kicking team that was offside. I was half right. Okay. And there's Kenny Hatfield saying, no way, no way. We'll take the ball right where we have it on the 37-yard line and be happy.
And Quinn Grovey into the Arkansas huddle, the junior out of Duncan, Oklahoma, one of the great running quarterbacks they have ever had here. And James Rouse, one of 3 1,000-yard runners in Arkansas history, along with Foster in the backfield. You saw the receivers, and here's their outstanding offensive line, led by Apolskis and Mabry at the tackles.
When it's a solid line, they play smash face football, just power football, come right at you. They don't try to fool you.
An I formation team this year. This is big James Rouse, and he powers for 3 or 4 off right tackle. Ken Hackamack made the stop for Texas, and they are a little bit banged up on the defensive side, especially in the secondary. Steve is hurt, but he starts along with Allen, Hackamack, and Giles up front. And then the linebackers, led by Brian Jones. The secondary has been scrambled. Stanley Richard is not with the team, ankle problem, so Barry and Bierman start at the corners. Van Malone also has opened in the secondary, and he is a true freshman. We'll also see Gunn and Graylin Johnson back there. Again, straight up the middle, look at the hole for Barry Foster, and he's got the first Arkansas first down of the day.
Boy, that's just power football. Nice cut there when he cuts back, and you'll see when he finds the hole, it's really not at the point of attack. He cuts back to his left when he gets into the hole. Now watch here from the end zone. Right there's the play design. Now watch the good cut back. Sees that hole open up right there? That's the difference between gaining 4 yards of carry and gaining, as he does, 6.2, is that he has great vision into the hole.
5th leading rusher in the conference, and he has not played anywhere near an entire game because they have so much depth. Tight end Billy Winston was in motion. And the option pitch to Rouse, and he slides on that turf at the 48-yard line of Texas. We talked about what Texas has to do. Now turn it around for Arkansas.
Well, Arkansas must take control early. They have not done that, but they allowed Texas to drive the length of the field, and I know that's a big concern. When we talk about dominate the special teams, we know the great field goal kicker, but there are also other aspects of that game: coverage, punt, and punt blocks, and of course, rattle the quarterback, rattle Gardere. Get him nervous out there. Let him start thinking that, hey, I am a freshman, ain't I?
Harshaw is checked in for Foster at the tailback slot. That was Russell in motion. Grovey on a roll. A lot of room. And finally, Anthony Curl knocks him out of bounds, but there is a late flag on what looked to be an Arkansas clip back near the 40.
Boy, and if you're an Arkansas fan, you're going to like it. If you're a Texas fan, you're going to question it, because you're going to see one. Maybe we can see on the replay. There's the call. It is clip against Arkansas. It looked as if Grovey, and you can see Kenny Hatfield out there saying, now wait a minute. Watch on the right of your screen here. Watch right here where he turns back on him. Right there is what they called. That's the clip that they called. Boy, that's a tough call.
That was Barry Foster.
Yeah, and it's a tough call. You see, he was running with him side by side, and then when he turned, he really didn't knock him down, but the referee and he's in the right position to make the call.
There's his crew along with Shepard. We've got Bill Anger, Bob Jones, Ron Underwood, Rogers Redding, Bill McClure, and Ron Murphy. Each team now victimized by a major penalty after they'd shown the early ability to move the ball almost at will.
And this really changes the complexion of this drive, because all of a sudden you start thinking it's second down now. It's about 18 yards, 16, 17 yards to go. And all of a sudden you can't run the ball twice and pick up 17 yards.
Arkansas with 2 tight ends along with Billy Winston. Steve Hudson is checked in. Only one setback. That's Foster. Grovey on play action again, flushed out. And Brian Jones and Paul Bierman chase him out, and the Hogs want a late flag, but they won't get it.
Oh boy, they did. When a quarterback is running out of bounds and he eases up when he hits that white stripe, usually you don't touch him. They felt, watch this, as he hits that white stripe. Now watch him just kind of relax here. Now he's still in bounds, and he kind of gets shoved. That's not a real vicious shove, but boy, those coaches reacted like it was. If you're from Texas, you think it is. I mean, if you're from Arkansas, you certainly thought it was.
Grovey's got to be wondering. They call him out of bounds at the 44, so 3rd down and 15. They need the Texas 41 to keep the drive going. Horton is wide to the left. Russell at the top of your screen to the right. And again, Grovey rolling. Good protection. Ball is intercepted by Anthony Curl, the freshman from Aldine MacArthur.
For great concentration. Grovey threw this ball up, and really, when he was running, he didn't get the velocity on the ball that he wanted. The ball was tipped up. Now watch right here. It's going to be tipped up. Good concentration. Looking back on the ball. There's the interception.
Arkansas not a turnover-prone team, but they've given it up. Big interception by Anthony Curl has given the Horns the ball at their 35-yard line. We talked about Arkansas. Over the last 5 years, they lead the nation in turnover ratio. They're only +1, however, this year, and it's Texas which is doing the better job.
Right. That's the difference when you fumble and throw interceptions as compared to when you get interceptions and recover fumbles.
This is the first college carry by Lamell Foreman. The thought was that they would redshirt him. He was one of their top recruits out of Del City, Oklahoma. 6 feet, 185-pounder. And one of the top running backs in all of America among the high schoolers last year. But they've got him in there, and he has a pickup of 3 yards on 1st down.
And when you're in a game like this, in a rivalry like this, you pull out all the stops.
Jones is to the right, Walker to the left. And Terry Cash in motion. Once again, this is Foreman. They love his speed. He's got a 1st down and tripped up, or he would have had 6, but another flag is down. This one back at the line of scrimmage.
I didn't even see this one. It looks like it's going to be holding. Oh boy, that really hurts Texas' drive. Instead of having the ball at the 45-yard line of Arkansas, 1st down, they're going to be backed up way in their own territory. Well, that is a big, big penalty.
And penalties have been the controlling factor in this game so far.
They are the killers on offense. People don't realize that, but most offensive teams stop themselves with a penalty or with a mistake. Let's see if perhaps we can see this. Look on the right side of your screen. And let's see who we have here. It looks like Chad Rowland, 51, got held.
Well, Patrick McFarland is the center for Texas. Dwayne Miller, Jeff Boyd are the guards, and it was the inside blocking that caused that penalty. Foreman again. Not much. 32, maybe the 33-yard line. And Mason and Thomas, those very active inside linebackers, combined on the stop. Arkansas defensively 2nd in the conference, and overall 13th in the nation. They allow only an average of 267 total yards per game.
And boy, are they good on 3rd down. When we talk about 3rd down conversions, this is about 3rd down and 12. This Arkansas team has held their opponents to only 28% conversions on 3rd down.
Samuels is back into the backfield along with Tubbs, and here's Gardere having to make it up as he goes. That ball almost intercepted by Curtis Banks. In between Cash and Jones, really hard to see who the intended receiver was for Gardere.
Gardere had hesitation on this, and that he thought about running, then he thought about passing. And you see him getting up with Tony Jones. Good move there by the young quarterback to turn around and say, hey, get open. Wave those hands and let me know where you are on a scramble.
Bobby Liljadal, 2nd leading punter in the conference. Tim Horton is the deep returner for the Arkansas Razorbacks, standing at his 28-yard line. will get a Texas roll. And downed by Jeff Higgins at the 29-yard line. We'll see the Arkansas offense for the second time. They trail here in Fayetteville as we play midway first quarter. Minutes to go in the first quarter. Texas has been a surprise, I would say, offensively early despite that possession.
Easily a big surprise. Be able to move the ball with the efficiency that they moved it in that first drive. The second drive, the only thing stopping was really that penalty, or they have been in great field position again. I think that's got to be the surprise to not only us, but the surprise to this 50-some thousand people here. They haven't had a whole lot to cheer about yet.
Grovey back into the huddle after his 5th interception of the season. He threw only 3 all of last year. Alabama up 16-7. Tennessee had scored, and then the very next play, Alabama ran it 75 yards for a touchdown. Illinois up early over Michigan State. And again, the option pitch, and look at the running room for James Rouse. Van Malone spills him out of bounds after a gain of 9 yards. Malone, as we said, a true freshman from Houston Waltrip.
Well, did you see Rouse when he turned that corner? I'll tell you one thing, he put his head down and he was motoring around that corner. You know, he's under a lot of heat here because he's got all these backs that are coming up here. Gosh, he's got freshmen, he's got sophomores, juniors. They talk about a stable of backs. They really have them.
Yeah, when the year began, he was listed 2nd team behind a redshirt freshman, E.D. Jackson. Now that's reversed. Foster turned away at first, and now we'll have to see where they mark him. Only needed one, and Dwayne Duncombe, the strong side linebacker, came up along with Oscar Giles.
Well, it's tough to run up that middle. You have Duncombe in there, you have Hackamack, Rocky Allen in there, Brian Jones. They've just got some strength in that middle. That was probably the biggest question coming into this game, is whether Grovey could get outside, and if in fact he got outside, it would loosen up the middle and allow them to run those power plays up the middle. But if he wasn't able to get outside, it was going to be tough football all day up front.
Extra blocker in with the second tight end, Lindy Lindsey. He's in motion. They try Foster, no problem. First down. 42 of the Hogs before Anthony Curl grabbed it.
Well, they just love this football. Now, you think Foster's going anywhere? Look at that stance. He's got all his feet, slides over, and watch this. Just put the head down, get that first down. Third down on the foot, and again, Arkansas with a great conversion record. How many times they convert third down into first down?
53%. Is that an amazing
That is amazing. Most teams, if you're at 40%, you're really doing something, but they convert 53% of their third downs into first downs.
Again to Rouse on the pitch, and again Malone comes up to make the stop. But they're pretty much one-on-one on both of those option turns on the corner. Grovey one-on-one, and then after he makes the pitch, one man, in this case Malone, has to make that tackle or he's gone.
Exactly right, and I can see that they're going to try to stop Grovey quick. They're not going to try to put pressure where they allow him to run down the line, fake the pitch, and turn up. They are going to stick him on the end of the line, and that's what they did that play. Make him pitch the ball as fast as you can, so that when he pitches it, it's about 3 to 4 yards deep in the backfield and then recover.
E.D. Jackson makes his first carry of the day, and they tried tackle, and he stopped at midfield. Lance Gunn came up from strong safety. E.D. Jackson stands for Edward Donald, unless you play with him.
Yeah,
in that case, it stands for extremely dangerous.
I think it is extremely dangerous. I'm talking with Kenny Hatfield. He said he may be the best one we've had here in a long while. He said he is really something. Kind of got nicked a little bit early in the season, but boy, he is a football player. Only a freshman.
First game, 97 yards. You said a little bit banged up, but they like his prospects. Third down, 2. All over Grovey. Quick pitch. Here's Jackson. First down. To the horn, 44, a gain of 6.
Boy, and Texas gambled that time. They thought that Foster was going to get the ball on that quick handoff, and I mean Foster got smashed in there. Watch when he turns to his left. Watch number 18. Boom, right there. Great choice by Grovey to pull the ball out and flip it wide.
Well, we've already seen a lot of Van Malone. This first serious playing time against Oklahoma because of the injuries in the secondary. And he's been in on about every other stop here. Cedric Fillmore is in motion. Grovey again chase, lets it fly. It is too tall for Tim Horton along the sideline. Good coverage over there by Mark Berry. Bo Robinson, 45, was the man putting pressure on Grovey.
Well, that was interesting to see Robinson to run with Grovey. Grovey's got that great foot speed. When he ran out there, he didn't run away from Robinson on that play.
Well, the knock on Grovey his first 2 years, and it's a strange situation, was that they didn't think he was much of a passer. And you look at him, his first 2 years, his career percentage was just under 63%. So I don't know how he got the knock, because he disproved it every week.
Well, they always say that about running quarterbacks, because they said they would rather run than they would pass. But he certainly didn't. He's not he's a great runner. But he's a pure quarterback as far as passing, too. He's got that good foot speed to run, and he's got a strong arm.
Derek Russell made that catch and then immediately dropped for a loss of about 3 yards. And Grovey says, boy, that should have gone for more than that.
Well, he threw the ball behind him, and that's what happened on that. You say drop for a loss, he kind of dropped himself a little bit, and that ball was a little bit behind him. That's a slip screen. Big decision here, third down. You're inside the 50-yard line. You've got to get some offense going. This is a big play for Kenny Hatfield and his staff. They don't want to lose this momentum. The longer you allow Texas to lead in this football game, the more disadvantage you're at, especially if you're the home team when you want this crowd behind you.
Grovey on the roll. Here comes the rush, lets it go, and Todd Ringo has the interception. They will mark him down at the 2-yard line. Quinn Grovey, second interception of the day.
This ball just gets away from him. It's a floater. You can see good coverage there. Just looks the ball in. That's Todd Ringo. He just looks it in. Now he runs it into the end zone. His momentum didn't take him into the end zone, so they're going to bring it out to the 2-yard line.
Turnover number 2 by the Arkansas offense, but they've backed the Longhorns up. Get a punt as good as that. They have the Horns back at their own 2-yard line after the interception.
Absolutely. Great field position for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
So Winfred Tubbs straight up the middle for a couple. Tubbs, one of those true freshmen in the backfield out of Fairfield. Chad Rowland, the nose guard, a junior from Sherman, Texas, made the tackle.
You don't want to put a lot of pressure on your freshman quarterback, but this is a great position to throw in. You run that play action into the line, try to hold those linebackers, and find that short crossing patterns to pick up one of your wide receivers or your tight end sneaking out of there. And he's got a couple big targets in his tight end in Cash.
The full house backfield behind Gardere. And Samuels leading forward up to the 7-yard line, so that'll set up a third and about 5.
Now this is where you got to stay low right here, and you can see Mr. Shepard gets a little bit high, Mike Shepard there. He's trying to fight across the face. He kind of takes the wrong angle on that. You've got to get underneath that lineman. You've got to be able to control him. And he is a good one, Mike Shepard. I guess it's Michael. That's where they had it listed on my program, Michael.
We'll go with Michael.
All right.
Horns had a couple of big third down pickups on their first drive. Not here, and that will be called down. No fumble, no Arkansas touchdown.
What a force by the cornerback on this play. You want to see what force is? The first thing you have to do is you have to come in and take out the lead blocker. Couldn't tell if it was Cooney or whether it was James. I didn't see who it was. But boy, he comes in, takes out the blocker, and boom.
Patrick Williams.
That is. It's Patrick Williams. Boy, this is a great play. You come in, you take out there. There's the fumble recovery, but of course it wasn't a fumble. But watch again to your right of your screen. You're going to see Patrick Williams come in there. He's number 24. Take out the interference and take down the running back. That's where you get the stars and the Razorbacks on your helmets and things like that. That's just a great play.
And you heard it a million times, but that was one where the ground cannot cause a fumble. Chris Samuels was down at the 7.
I was a little bit surprised on that play selection. I thought, again, it's a good place to pass the ball, but you just don't want to make a mistake in this situation, put pressure on your team.
And Arkansas has called timeout here because they want Texas to have to punt into the wind. There's 33 seconds to go in the first quarter.
That's a smart heads-up play because the wind is, what would you say, probably 10, 15 miles an hour.
I would think at least that. The flag is stiff down there on the sideline, and so they'll have Tim Horton standing at the Texas 42, and there's an even better look at the wind. Lil Jadal about 8 yards deep in his end zone.
And I remember when we were down on the field, I watched the punters punt with the wind. With the wind, they were punting 50 yards. Into the wind, they were punting about 30 to 35 yards. So we'll have to see the result of his choice.
Boy, a long count, and now Liljedahl will loft it up, and it's off the side of his foot. And this is disaster for Texas. Look at the roll inside the 10-yard line. That is a punt of 0 yards, but a flag is down on the sideline.
Oh, it's a flag. It's along the line of scrimmage. Oh boy, if this goes against Arkansas, they will have a I didn't see what the signal was.
Offsetting. That play is going to stand, it would appear.
Watch this ball when it comes off the foot. This is the worst nightmare for a punter. And Liljedahl is a great punter. It just comes. Look at the angle of the punt. The way it comes just straight off the side of his foot. What a decision here by Kenny Hatfield to call that timeout, to make him fight or punt into the wind. Not only the advantage of the wind, but psychological advantage, and it worked.
So here's Grovey, first down and goal to go. E.D. Jackson, touchdown, Arkansas.
You talk about capitalizing, that's capitalizing on a mistake. In every football game, there are certain plays that you capitalize or you don't. And when you capitalize, you get the results. And the results of this play were 7 points.
Third touchdown run of the year by Jackson. Todd Wright is 19 of 20. He hasn't missed any field goals, but he has missed one PAT. High snap is handled, and the kick is good.
Watch this hole that E.D. Jackson just runs through. It just bursts up the middle. There he is, just takes the handoff. Now look at the hole that just opens up. Boom, doesn't even get touched. So he just jogs into the end zone. You watch the hole just to the right now. Good block there, good double team. Right there, kick out, and look at this. Gets behind his blocker, and you can just see he just rolls into the end zone.
A little lean to the left is what set it up, and then the cutback. And E.D. Jackson has put the Hogs in front for the first time. 21 seconds to go in the first quarter. 7-3 Arkansas here. Elsewhere on our Dr. Pepper Roundup, Tennessee has come back in that battle of the top 10 unbeatens in the SEC. Still Illinois by 7, and TCU with a 6-3 lead over D. Dallas and the Air Force Academy.
That is a surprise. TCU, if they're able to hold on, they would really beat a good Air Force team. Run Arkansas, yowling continuously out of the Ozark Mountains.
He wins the vocabulary award. Not much on the drive, not much needed after that net 0-yard punt by Bobby Liljedahl. And how out of character that was for him. He's been one of the top 2 punters the last 2 years in the conference.
Absolutely. Comes into the game averaging almost 42 yards a kick. Even a bad kick, 30, 35 yards for him would have been a long way.
Speaking of long ones, Glenn Ray Hines Jr. drills this one way back, and Chris Samuels downs it with the Horn offense now set to march from their 20-yard line. There's Hines, his dad, of course, one of the great Razorbacks in their history.
And pro players. Of course, Glenn Ray Hines played with the Saints for a number of years. And great follower of his son. He has really enjoyed him.
Well, they had taken the crowd out of the game. And what did Ken Hatfield tell us yesterday? He thought the punting game, the kicking game would decide this thing.
Yes. He thought that winning the kicking game was the big factor in this football game. And with a wind like that and the psychological advantage.
Adrian Walker did burst up the middle for about 8. Ben Floor led the Arkansas tackling contingent, and that should be the last play of the first quarter. Well, last week, Texas got a touchdown off a fumbled punt and return against Oklahoma. Then they got a 2-point conversion, and they won by 4. So that was one reason that Hatfield thought it would be so important in what is usually such a close-fought series today. Through 1 quarter in the hills of Arkansas, the Razorbacks have the lead. Back after this messages from your local station. This is Raycom Sports. Back back with Dave Rowe, Dave Barnett in Fayetteville. 7-3 Arkansas. They have switched sides. And Bobby Liljedahl has some things to think about and work on after that 0-yard punt set up the Hogs for the 6-yard touchdown run by E.D. Jackson.
And a lot of things to think about: the drop, the foot action, and kick it downfield.
2nd and only 2. Play action for Gardere. He will run it. Chad Rowland denies him first down yardage. Very mobile nose guard. There's Tony Allison, who is also chasing Gardere.
That was a nice move by the line, down the line to stop that run.
One thing that Lynn Amity, the offensive coordinator for Texas, likes about Gardere is he says at any point on game day you can look at him, you can talk to him, and you never get the impression that he's nervous at all.
I know, he said that Gardere came up to him this morning and said, "Hey, how you doing, Coach?" He said, "More importantly, how are you doing, son?"
3rd down 1, Gardere, timeout. Well, whatever he saw, that was a rather veteran-type decision to go ahead and call the timeout in a key 3rd down situation deep in their own end of the field. So while the horns talk about it, we'll break. 14-17 to go in the first half.
Resume regularly scheduled programming already in progress.
I'm the cardiac kid, and there's Tony Jones. He's one of the cardiac kids. But I couldn't believe the reaction by Gardere. He walked off like, yep, there's another one. And again, we have a stunned Arkansas team, a stunned Arkansas crowd.
Our Schick permanent storyline changes now, obviously, after the Texas opening drive ended in a field goal. Jones on the first play after the Barry Foster fumble. Arkansas has run the ball well, but they can't hang on to it. 2 interceptions and that fumble now cashed in as they trail again by 3.
Don't you know that this Arkansas crowd is tired of hearing about Tony Jones? He has scored every game he has played against Texas. He has scored a touchdown.
Beat him 2 years ago, almost beat him. He had another long touchdown reception from Mark Murdoch when he made his big splash in Austin against the Hogs last year. Clements now kicking with the wind, and Foster will not run it out from 3 yards deep. Accomack got it started, gave him the position, gave him the possession to get the lead. And a flag is down on that kick up at the 43 of Arkansas.
I remember last year looking at Accomack. He was about 6'9", about 285 or so, 290, and everybody said, "Oh, wait till he grows up." He grew up. Now he's 6'10", 305 pounds, and still looks pretty thin.
Yeah, they've had to change his dimensions just since the press guy came out. That will be declined. It was illegal procedure, Arkansas. Texas says we'll let him start from the 20. A series that always seems to go down to the wire, even though the Arkansas line today had them favored by about 14 points.
And my question right away is, what's Accomack doing over there sitting drinking Kool-Aid? They must have brought in Tommy Jeter.
He's earned his rest, and that's exactly what they've done. And James Patton is in at the other defensive tackle. Rouse and Foster in the eye behind Brody. This is Foster. Good first down yardage. He's up to the 26, and a couple of freshmen, Shane Dronette and Anthony Curl, need the tackle. Foster, a Texan out of Duncanville, their leading rusher for the 2nd straight year.
Hard to believe he has not been stopped for a negative yardage yet. He hasn't been caught in the backfield, and he's carried the ball coming into this game 63 times. That just shows that when he turns, plants, and gets upfield.
They keep a stat about that we'll talk about in a moment. That's Fillmore in motion. Rouse this time. He may be gone. Bierman and Gunn giving chase, and Rouse is knocked out of bounds inside the 25. 49 yards for the senior from Little Rock.
I can tell you, when I saw Rouse run earlier, I thought he ran with a different vigor, and he does on this. Watch the cutback. That's where the hole is. Great vision we talked about earlier. Now look at this. He's a fullback. He's 225 pounds, and he's running out there with the secondary, and automatically, quickly, Texas makes a defensive change and brings back in Accomack and Rocky Allen.
E.D. Jackson in to give Rouse a breather. He stopped for maybe a gain of 1 by Hackamack and Mark Barris. Well, the Razorbacks running backs coach Larry Brinson, the former Dallas Cowboy, says that Jackson and Rouse, two of the best he's ever seen, and also Foster, at yardage after contact. He keeps a stat. He looks at the films and he sees where they're hit first and then how much yardage they pick up. He says Foster and Jackson are two of the best he's ever coached.
And he said that with Jackson, he said, I can yell and scream at him and get right down on him. And boy, he never whimpers, doesn't do anything. He just comes right back and plays solid football.
Hogs go with 3 wideouts. Option pitch, Jackson stopped at the 16.
Big series here. This is where, if you're a Texas fan, you've got to hold them to a field goal. Don't allow them to get in. This is, again, that third down conversion that we've talked about. Look at that update. That is really a shocker to me. TCU over Air Force, 13-3 in the second quarter.
Ironic that Air Force runs the wishbone. TCU goes to the air with their triple shoot, and we'll see them next week in Waco take on the Baylor Bears. What a wave of confidence a win today could give them. Third down, and they need 4. They need the Texas 13. Quick rush put on. Ball delivered and caught. Tim Horton has it first down at the 9.
What a story in Tim Horton, 5'9", 177 pounds. His dad, one of the most successful coaches, and I think he's at University of Central Arkansas. Tim came here to play, and boy, that's just picture perfect. Great pass. Look at the plant. Quick out right there. Not the best trajectory on the ball, but he looks it all the way in, picks up that first down.
Only the second completion for Grovey today, and the first for positive yardage. Remember, Russell lost yardage on his catch. 11th reception of the year by Horton, their leader in that category, and their first down and goal to go. Blitz look put on by Brian Jones. Jackson gets nowhere. They stack him up.
I can tell you, if you don't stop Grovey at the point on the corner and he gets outside and he has that run-pass option, he puts tremendous pressure on those cornerbacks. You don't know whether to come up and try to stop the run or to drop back and hold and stay on your coverage.
Checks the cheat sheet there on the wristband.
Well, what that is that what they do is they give a number to the running back who comes in, or in that case it was Billy Winston, comes in and says play 7. He looks down on play 7 and he can call the play in this situation.
Play 7 is the option roll into the end zone, and Winston has it for the touchdown.
Play 7 must be to Billy Winston. He said, just throw it to me, I'll be open. He came across the back there and just was wide open.
Second touchdown catch of the year for the nephew of Dirt Winston, the former Arkansas and Pittsburgh Steeler grit. And so the seesaw game goes back to the Razorbacks, and Todd Wright, out of the hold of Gary Adams, will try to give him another 4-point lead. And it is blocked.
I think I saw Hackamack's hand come up there, but there's a flag down on the play.
We'll have to see if it will stand. It looked like Hackamack who got a hand on it. Offsides, Texas. They'll kick again.
Boy, that could be a big play. I think Kenny Hatfield was right. This kicking game is so vitally important. A lot of people overlook that. And we heard all about the great field goal kickers on both teams. Both are good field goal kickers. But to block an extra point and then give the team the option to kick it again could really change the complexion of a football game.
That ball had a very low trajectory anyway, and it doesn't take much elevation by Hackamack at 6'10" to get a piece of it.
Well, they flood the middle. They put their big men in the middle trying to get penetration up the middle, and that's where you mostly block them.
It does cost Texas. One more look at the touchdown catch by Winston.
Billy Winston, number 86, going to circle around here. He's going to fly out to the outside. Grovey finds him. Now watch the bobble at the tail end of this. He has to get control of it, get both feet down in bounds, and he had control. Here we can watch it again from the angle. You're going to see him coming across to the left here. Now get out. Now watch Winston. He's right there in the bottom of your screen. Wide open. Now watch when he gets the ball. Watch him get control of it. Pull it into your body. Drags those feet. Keeps that one in bounds.
Back and forth we go. Arkansas's turn to lead it by 4. Texas strikes on the long bomb to Tony Jones. Arkansas right back with a 49-yard run by James Rouse, setting up a 9-yard touchdown pass by Grovey to Winston.
And I think they may have Tony Jones back returning. They do. That is a surprise. The reason they don't have him back there a lot more is they don't want to lose his great offensive threat.
He's going to get it. If he can pick up the bounce, top bounce from his 3-yard line. Got a nice block by Dion Cockrell, but only his own 8.
Well, he's exciting just getting out to the 8-yard line. All the footwork. And look there, I was kind of holding my breath thinking, well, he's going to get out. He's going to break one. Well, they got great coverage. Well, he's going to break one, but went down on his 8. And that's just good special teams work. It plays such a vital part of the game. Now, I remember the days in football when the special teams were just all the big guys lining up and punting the ball. And today, it's about 1/3 of the practice is practicing on special teams, the kicking game.
Credit the good kick by Hines, the tackle by Mark Bell, and Texas in the eye. They give Adrian Walker out across the 10, not much more. Nick Thomas with another stop. What do we got here?
Go Hogs High, Mom. Mom is at the...
And Mom needs money?
Mom needs money?
That's a twist.
What's that say? Love move? Send money to Mom.
Well, the magic of television.
Some people do anything to get on.
Gain of 2 for Adrian Walker. So in the passing set now, they've got 3 wideouts to the right and 1 to the left, and Gardere looks right and has Johnny Walker very close to what he needed for the first down. He may be the length of the ball shot. Michael James and Patrick Williams made the tackle.
You can see this ball. This is how the quarterback looks. Now watch the protection. Big protection up front there. He finds him out in the flat. This is just put your head down, get everything you can. They come up. It looks as if it's going to be just about, as you said, a foot short. Big 3rd down play. You don't want to give the ball back to Arkansas. They now have momentum. They are really rolling along here.
In the full house, Jason Burleson, the best man they have to get 1 foot or so, because he's 6 feet 5 inches. He can lean forward and get a couple yards normally, and he's got the first down here. Burleson, the redshirt freshman out of Sherman.
Well, you know, that's 2 times in a row that Texas has had that terrible field position on that punt when they were down on the 1 or 2 yard line. Now they only run the ball out to the 8. That's a long way to drive for an offense to recover from that. You like to get the ball out near the 30, 35 yard line so you can kind of be a little bit more relaxed in your offensive attack.
Walker, the man in motion, and Gardere will run this one. Wrapped up, though, at the 21-yard line by Mackenzie Phillips, a sophomore from Springdale, Arkansas. He's the son of the former Outland Trophy winner, Lloyd Phillips.
I remember Lloyd Phillips, and if his son is the kind of player that Lloyd Phillips is, he'll be a great one. Of course, Lloyd Phillips came out in that class of, I guess it was about 67. We all came out together.
You dated yourself. You were waiting for that.
Well, was that 1967, right?
Phillipson backing up Michael Shepard on that tackle. Gain of only 1 for Gardere. Looks to the sideline. Catch is made for the first down by Walker at the 32-yard line. He's gotten so much more activity this year as defensives have double covered Tony Jones.
And I looked at Adrian Walker. I think the ball was, it looked like it was intended to him. Watch Adrian Walker turn, and there you have in the back Johnny Walker, number 1, who turns and makes the catch. But a nice throw over top of the coverage and back inside.
What a quandary a defensive coordinator would have. Who do you give double coverage to?
Well, both those outside wideouts, both Walker and Tony Jones, deserve double coverage. So what they've elected to do is try to play a zone to give the short pass and protect against the long one.
Adrian Walker, the cutback pickup of about 5. Ken Benson and Mick Thomas. Two of the very active group of linebackers for Arkansas with the tackle.
Well, one thing that I notice in both the teams' plays here are they're both have very solid offensive game plans. Run the ball, run it. Don't run that wild play where you're going to lose 15, 18 yards, or don't throw that threatening pass that can be intercepted. It's a very solid game plan, and that's why they've been successful. Both teams are utilizing their strengths. They're not gambling, so to speak.
We like a 5-yard gain on first down, and that's what Walker got. This is Lamell Foreman. He's got 4.4 speed. He's got to turn it up. And Cooney prevented a touchdown at the 37 of Arkansas.
Boy, nice dip by Foreman. When I talk about a dip, that's where you dip into the line and hold that linebacker or that corner that's coming up to make the make the tackle. Now watch right here on the right of your screen, you're going to see. Now watch the good block right there. Great block there by his wide receiver. See both receivers in the white? Great blocks right there. There's another block coming on back. That's the way you free up in the secondary. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Receivers get great credit when they watch the films, when they make downfield blocks like that.
When Texas failed to recruit Robert Strait, who went to Baylor, Lamell Foreman helped ease their minds a little bit when they signed him. You saw why. On play action, here comes the blitz. Gardere has it off. He's got Jones inside the 20-yard line, and another Texas first down.
And I wondered whether Gardere could hear Ken Benson coming on the backside of him, because number 42 leveled Gardere after he threw the football. Watch Gardere. Now watch coming from your left side of your screen. You're going to see number 42 coming in here. Boom. But he just finds Jones right in that little seam, that little pocket that's just a natural pocket on zone coverage. You run that curl at about 10, 12 yards, and it's just a natural pocket. And look at that record there, 8 of 9.
This is a freshman. Gardere, the inside give, and Burleson bouncing off Ty Mason up to the 15-yard line.
Pretty good ad-lib that time by Gardere. Did you see that? He came out wrong, didn't panic, just turned around and said, "Now, where are you, Burleson?" And just handed the ball back to big Jason Burleson.
When you see that, no coach in the world can take credit for that. That is in the genes, and he is a third-generation Longhorn. His dad had a one-play career. He was hurt on the very first play, broke his neck as a sophomore, and that was the end, although the neck injury thankfully healed, and he's fine today. Foreman bobbled the pitch and may have lost one. Benson was all over him.
And this is where Arkansas really gets tough right here. You're going to see the Benson just jump across the line. Just boom, right there. He's right across the line. His job is to turn it back inside. He does an excellent job to turn that play back inside. Don't let it get outside of him. If it gets outside of him, he has no pursuit. Everybody's running after the play. Did a fine job on that defense.
Third down, 8. They need to get inside the Arkansas 10-yard line. Benson on the blitz. Gardere lets it fly. End zone knocked away, but a flag is down.
I want to tell you how close that came. Tony Jones had a great shot. We're going to have to find out what the flag is, but Tony Jones had a great shot to catch that football.
Curtis Banks is the man that deflected it at the very last instant. That ball was inches away, and the penalty is against the Hornets. Illegal man downfield against Texas, caused by that extra scrambling time for Gardere.
Yeah, I believe Cunningham thought that Gardere was going to scramble, but a good move there by Gardere to gather his senses and realize that he wasn't going to be able to run it downfield. He was going to have to throw the ball, and he just kind of gathered his thoughts quickly and still had a chance to complete that ball. Now, the decision there is, of course, it's a loss of down, the lineman downfield, I should say. And it's going to bring up a fourth down, and about, well, if they decide to not take the penalty as they do, it's going to be about fourth down and about 8.
Now let's see if they perhaps missed a penalty here. Jason Burleson trying to prevent Benson from sacking Gardere, and I would say
that is definitely holding. Yes.
That might have.
But that wasn't the call. But that wasn't the call on the play.
So a 34-yard attempt by Clements. He was already hit one today.
You're going to get a good picture of it as it goes up. Plenty of leg right through the middle. And I think we've got everything that we expected. Rivalries outshine statistics and standings.
3 minutes, 3 seconds to go in the first half. It is Arkansas by 1.
Right?
I'm afraid that's true. We've got time to change their minds. Scoring drive for Texas. Capped off by Clements' second 34-yard field goal of the day, and he's inching closer to a pretty good milestone.
He certainly is. If he gets 60 kicks, there's only been 15 kickers that have kicked 60 field goals, and he coming into this game had 52. He now has, I guess he has 54 now. So he's inching, as you say, very close to just an outstanding record for a kicker.
It's a classic.
Barry Foster back waiting.
Clements is the kickoff man for Texas.
Foster looks kind of edgy back there. He's saying, I want to return one. Just kick the ball to me, and I want to return one.
Well, he may get a chance on this one. Nope. Down to his knee, 5 yards deep. We have yet to see a kick return from that end zone. So down to 3 minutes and 3 seconds in the first half. 14-13 Arkansas. They have taken turns leading this game, and a big defensive series here for the Hawks to keep Texas from regaining the lead by getting into the end zone.
And everybody talked about the big shootout, and there's the big shootout.
Biggest game in Southwest Conference history. A lot of people would say the best game in college football history, although not many of those folks from Arkansas. And in 1989, they both come in as the only unbeaten teams in the conference race, so whoever comes out of this one today is in control in the race for the Mobile Cotton Bowl. We'll talk about that race with Jim Williams, president of the Cotton Bowl Association, at halftime. Foster, big gainer, up to the 35 on first down.
Just the thing about that game, I think that we've had such a strong discussion in our production staff. We have, of course, Johnny Tyus from Arkansas. He's going to root for them. You know that. And, of course, David Handler being from Texas, Lee Friday from Texas, and you're from Texas. I mean, we had to walk down to the 13-yard line where that famous catch was made.
We're on a historical setting here, but we're professionals. Remember that.
That's right.
We're seeing a great game on first down. Grover, the option pitch to Rouse. And 13 yards after Foster went for 15.
I want to tell you, I have seen James Rouse run before, but I noticed on that first run when he put his head down, he was really running hard. And I notice that now. He is just running with it. It almost looks like he's a different runner. He's not picking his hole. He's just exploding into it. Look at that. That's just dead out run. I mean, that's just as hard as you can run.
Look at the collision between the two Longhorns, one of whom is still down with the bruised shoulder, and that's Todd Ringo, who was playing as much as he has the last 2 weeks because of further injuries in the secondary. We said Stanley Richard did not make the trip because of his banged-up leg. They've had to shuffle that secondary, and Ringo has had quite a bit of action, but after banging his shoulder on this collision with Brian Jones, we got to wonder about it. Also got the head in there.
It looked as if he got hit up in the neck area, up in the throat. There's David McWilliams. He's certainly concerned. The foremost on his mind, of course, right now is the health of his young player, but he really expressed his just upsetness, I guess you'd say, the upset that he had with so many of his defensive players being down. He just said, if we had this, if we had so-and-so, we had Stanley Richard, we'd be all right. I mean, we could compete today.
Well, last year was the defensive line that got so banged up.
Right.
And it seems to have moved to the secondary this year. 14-13 Arkansas as they continue to look at Ringo with 2 minutes and 36 seconds to go before halftime. Arkansas, as we said, has won in this stadium against Texas only 3 times. They trail the all-time series 52-18, but they always find a way, these two teams, to seem to bring it down to the wire. You've got the makings of that today.
I know when you talk about tradition, you talk about wearing red when you come to this stadium, because as we look across, it is just a landscape of red. I think that it's got to be a rule that you have got to wear red when you come into this stadium.
Hadn't seemed to bother Texas over the years, and Mike Campbell, their former defensive coach, had the great line several years ago. He said, anytime you come into Arkansas, it's like parachuting into the Kremlin. and that's what he was talking about.
Well, when you stop and think of great football games, of course, that shootout certainly was one. They've asked some of the great coaches what their greatest moments have been, and of course, you've got a great moment to speak about, don't you, one of the coaches?
50 years ago today, this is the 50th anniversary of the day that the great Texas coach D.X. Bible thinks that the Horn program was made. They were not that great through the 30s, but on October 21st, 1939, they came from behind. Arkansas was up 13-7 with 15 seconds to go. Texas had it at its own 29. Jack Crane, who became a state legislator in Texas, took a pass from R.B. Patrick and went 71 yards for the touchdown on the final play of the game. Texas came from behind to beat Arkansas 14-13. And D.X. Bible, one of the great names in Texas football history, says from that day forward, Texas was a football power. Now, 20 years ago, of course, was the culmination of that series. Some of the main players for Texas, what they've done since: James Streeton Insurance in Austin. Jim Bertelsen had a nice career with the Rams. Randy Peschel, who caught the long bomb in banking at Austin, and Happy Feller is a doctor also in the Hill Country area. In Fredericksburg, Arkansas, the quarterback Bill Montgomery in banking in Dallas. Bill Burnett, who scored their first touchdown, a minister here in Arkansas, and Chuck Dicus likewise here in Arkansas.
Shows that football players can be successful, and there's the success to see Todd Ringo get up and walk away from that. He was really stunned on that hit, and it's good to see him up and running around.
E.D. Jackson and Juju Harshaw are the setbacks, and Grovey, looking over the middle, has got Tim Horton, their third straight big gainer. 21 yards on the pickup to the Texas 31-yard line.
Boy, and as Grovey just delivers his ball, boom, he steps in there and throws a rope, and Horton just finds that seam, again, right in that little curl area. The first thing you think is, why can't you defend that curl area? But it's a natural seam between the deeper coverage and the shorter coverage. It's just a natural seam in there, and that's the way it's designed to be run. Quarterback throws a rope, just a burner. Curler just takes it and boom, looks it right in and catches it.
E.D. Jackson hit hard as he got inside the 30 and then leaned forward. Boone Powell was the man on the tackle at the 27-yard line.
And you have to be a little bit aware of the clock. You've got a minute and 45 seconds you'll have before they run this play, maybe even less than that. They're out on the 26, 27-yard line, and they're predominantly a running team. With 2 timeouts left, they better utilize those timeouts to the best of their advantage.
Jackson got 4. Grovey, action keeper, got only a couple up to the 25. Hackamack and Jones turned him back inside.
We've talked a lot about E.D. Jones, but let's take a look at Brian Jones, number 60, playing off, sliding along right here, comes back. You get that arm on some of the best tackles that you'll ever make, or those one-handed teardowns. Boy, they're not in any hurry to run this clock. We're going to be under a minute here in the second. Well, maybe they're happy just to have a field goal.
Boy, how big a touchdown would be if they can manage. Option pitch again. Jackson nowhere to go. He's going to be about a yard shy. And the team that has not missed a field goal since early last year apparently set up to have to think about trying to get their streak up to 34 in a row. The timeout has been called as they will discuss things with 39 seconds to go before halftime.
And interesting that they call the timeout with 39 seconds on the clock. If you're going to call a timeout there, usually you let the clock run all the way down. They may, in fact, try to go and run the fake field and go for it. You never know on this team. They've had such success with the field goal, it's almost an automatic 3 points, which would put them up 17-13. But they quickly call timeout with 39 seconds left. And usually you run it down to 4 or 5 seconds and then kick it.
Well, Todd Wright this year, 10 for 10, after Kendall Traynor made his last 23 last year, so the team has the record of 33 straight field goals. If Wright hits one today on this 4th down situation, it will be Arkansas's first here in Fayetteville since 1981, when they beat the #1 ranked Longhorns 42-11. Greg Horn missed 3 field goal attempts in 1984, and that was when Jeff Ward hit 5 and they won 15-13.
And this is not an easy kick. There's the coaches up there. That's the brain trust up there, as they say. But this is not an easy kick because it's from the left hash mark, so that normally a soccer kicker has that hook when he comes off there. It's not an easy kick. It's going to be from the hash mark. It's not straight in. Just surprising that they called timeout with so much time left to give Texas a chance to get the football back.
Wright, the redshirt freshman from Stillwater, Oklahoma, will try it out of Gary Adams' hold. 40 yards with the angle to the right. Blocked, and the streak is over. Pass is made, and Billy Winston has it, and let's see where they mark him down. They may have a first down.
This may be the biggest play of the year.
And this is an instant replay of what Texas did on their extra point last week. That is amazing.
What a heads-up play. Watch this. The ball's going to be bounced right back to him. Now watch Wright pick it up. He knows he can't get outside. Shuffle passes it forward. Winston comes down with it and in enough room to get the first down. Maybe they did know something about that. There's the block. Now watch Wright here. I know I can't make it. I just flip it up there. Billy Winston, first down. Oh, boy, could this be a big play.
First down gain by Harshaw with that much time remaining, but a flag is down, so they stop the clock at 23 seconds.
And Lance Gunn didn't retaliate on that. This is going to be an interesting. This flag was thrown in an altercation between an Arkansas player and a Texas player. And the Texas player looked as if he didn't do anything afterwards. However, I think the flag was thrown early. Let's see what the call in fact is. There it is, dead ball, personal foul, and it's against Texas.
And he's been ejected. So we'll try and pick up who it was.
Well, in fact, it might be Lance Gunn. He was the one who got shoved pretty hard. He may have done something beforehand in order to necessitate that. Yes, it is. He's going off the football field. Boy, it's hard to lose your starting safety.
Boy, they're so depleted back there anyway. And so Grady Cabness, a true freshman, a great one, they feel will be one of the best secondary players ever at Texas.
Boy,
one of the few backups along with Bubba Jacks, and then they saw Todd Ringo get banged up as well.
See, what I think he's saying there is I got hit and then I retaliated and they saw that. That may be what he was in fact saying. It's hard to speculate, but he has in fact been thrown out of the football game.
Bubba Jacks is the man that has replaced Gunn.
23 seconds left.
And before they come up to the line, the scoreboard was incorrect. I'm not sure if that is why the officials didn't let the snap go. It showed 1st and 3. Of course, it's first down and goal at the 6. And how big that blocked field goal ending the streak of 33 in a row now looms. What a weird game. We've seen as much weirdness as was in Texas, Oklahoma last week.
And what a heads-up play by Wright to throw that football. That's got to be the play of the day so far, to throw that football, have the forethought just to throw it. He didn't throw it like Garo Yepremian did he?
Thankfully for Arkansas, no. Rovey on the roll, into the middle, wide open, but knocked away by Bubba Jacks, the man who just came in for Lance Gunn. It looked like Winston had his second touchdown catch.
Oh, he did. That ball was just delivered perfectly. Now watch Jacks come back in here, just get a hand in there. Look right there, just a hand in there to knock that ball away. Again, watch it. Grovey pulls up here, finds Winston in the back of the end zone, and watch the hand come in there just to knock it off. That's what you call an all-out play. He was stretched out as far as he could. And that young man says, hey, there's no drop-off when I come in here.
Second down and goal. Here comes the rush. Flag down. Grovey down. No, still going. And Quinn Grovey is in, but let's see what the flag means.
There's several flags down. And Texas they are waving their hands.
You always think holding or illegal procedure. At the line, that's what it was. Only 11 seconds before halftime.
And if this is one of the big ones, this takes it back from about the, 5 or 6 yard line. It could take it back. It's going to be a legal motion. Look at Kenny Hatfield's reaction. Boy, now the big play, Dave, is whether you call a running play and try to get a quick timeout. They have one timeout left, or you throw a pass, but you only have 11 seconds, so you've got to call a quick timeout if you don't score.
Here comes the blitz, and Brian Jones is all over Quinn Grovey. So much for that idea. And the clock rolling at 5, and still no timeout at 3 and at 2.
That's
and
it.
Double zeros. And unbelievably, Arkansas is ruled evidently not to have had any timeouts remaining, although the scoreboard clock says that they had 1 remaining.
What a heads-up play by Texas. The scoreboard clock did say 1, and that's what led me to believe that they were going to try to run a quick play. But perhaps they, well, I guess in afterthought, hindsight, it's always best to call a timeout and kick the kick.
But incredible that they didn't take the...
Catches it in stride. That's as well as you can throw a football. And, of course, this led to Texas going up 10-7.
James Rouse came right back, however, for Arkansas. He broke off a 51-yarder.
Well, what a nice cut back against the grain. He's just running with a different attitude out there. He just is really putting his head down and picking up that big yardage. Of course, this set up Winston's touchdown pass.
At that time, it looked like a touchdown saving tackle by Paul Bierman, but they got it down to the 9-yard line, and Billy Winston took the ball on the side of the end zone, perfectly thrown by Grovey, and made it a 14-10 Arkansas lead. And then, of course, Texas came back and got the field goal to make it 14-13. And then the clarification on what happened at the end, they decided that when Lance Gunn was ejected, Arkansas took a timeout. But it looked like Arkansas' sideline was not aware of that, and maybe that's why they didn't try the field goal attempt.
I think that's exactly what happened. I think that Arkansas looked up on the scoreboard, and it read 1 timeout left. And, in fact, the referee or official on the sideline said there were no timeouts left. I think they started that last play thinking they had a timeout. And then with 11 seconds, you would think if you have a timeout, there's no play that's going to run 11 seconds where you're not going to score. All of a sudden, they come up and boom, now they miss a golden opportunity to at least get 3 points.
All right, let's go to our Phillips 66 Top 10 report. Here's the big one later on today. Number 9 USC at number 1 Notre Dame. Number 2 Miami is off. They play Florida State next week. Number 3 Colorado at home against Kansas. They should stay unbeaten. Number 4 Nebraska is underway and scoreless against Oklahoma State.
And then the next game, of course, Michigan and Iowa is later. There's that Tennessee-Alabama score. Alabama way out in front. Texas here just behind Arkansas, 14-13. Pittsburgh is idle. They'll play Notre Dame October 28th.
And that's today's Phillips 66 Top 10 report. Time stats. Look at the time of possession. It really narrowed up after Texas had 2/3 of the time with the ball in the first quarter. Yards rushing about double Arkansas over Texas, but even more of a gap in the passing game in favor of the Longhorns.
And of course, the big statistic that jumps right out at you is 3 turnovers by this Arkansas team. They are a well-schooled team. They do not turn the football over, and that's just so uncharacteristic. You have to go back to when they played the University of Texas El Paso, and they fumbled 7 times in that game and lost 3. They cannot keep doing that and giving Texas more opportunities.
Peter Gardere has taken not only the inside completions, but also the long bomb on the 61-yarder to Tony Jones. And it's 14-13 Arkansas. That's today's Budweiser halftime stats. 14-13 Arkansas over the Longhorns of Texas. Lots of big plays in the first half, and here is just one of the many.
You talked about this ended the string of 33 consecutive field goals, which was the NCAA record. Now watch the heads-up play by Wright. Throws it, completes it to Billy Winston, first down. But Dave, they did not capitalize on it. You cannot get down here with an opportunity against this fine Texas team and not come away with at least 3 points.
And by the way, Shane Dronette, it looked like number 81 blocking that kick. Jim Williams talked about the Cotton Bowl coming up January 1st. Here's how you can get your tickets. Call 214-638-BOWL Monday through Friday.
That's easy to remember. BOWL. It's going to be quite a Cotton Bowl this year.
David McWilliams certainly has his team positioned. If they can come from 1 point back here at halftime and win, they'll be 3-0. They'll have one of their toughest road trips out of the way, although they also have to go to Houston and Texas A&M. Arkansas next week will host Houston at Little Rock, and that one's already sold out, 53,000 plus. And then they've also, of course, got the Aggies later on their schedule as well. So a lot of the bigger games will come now week in, week out. Somebody's going to be playing somebody else, all with Cotton Bowl impact. Arkansas will kick it away. Glenn Ray Hines had a nice first half doing that. And he will kick with the wind. And it's a low bouncer. Cavness and Samuels were back deep. Chris Samuels lets it go. Back to what Texas had to keep in mind today.
Well, first of all, maintain confidence. I think Gardere has really instilled confidence in this Texas team. They now believe that they can slow down the Arkansas rushing attack. 26 carries, 151 yards. Sounds like an overwhelming amount, but it's just a little bit less than average first half for this Arkansas team, and involved Tony Jones, and boy, did they do it with a 61-yard touchdown pass.
And one of their near misses was on their opening series, where he seemed to have a touchdown on an end around and then fumbled the ball. Samuels is hit by Nick Thomas, who had a strained neck and had to sit out part of the second quarter. Also in on the stop, Tony Allison. Samuels getting a lot of first half action along with Adrian Walker and Linnell Foreman, who played for the first time today. Not quite the depth that the Arkansas running back position has, but it's a position that's even without Eric Metcalf, probably deeper than it was last year for Texas.
Well, it is when you think of Burleson back there and his talent's only a freshman. Tubbs is another freshman. They have some good talent upcoming.
Gardere to the sideline, and the open man is Walker for a first down at the Arkansas 37-yard line. Anthony Cooney with the coverage, and again Gardere able to find the open man underneath the zone.
Well, in that first half, Gardere was 8 of 10, as you said, with 142 yards. Of that 142 yards, he had 116 of those yards to Walker and Jones. So that shows you where he's going. He will continually go to the wide outs as long as they give him a cushion like that. When the defensive back plays that far off, you can throw those 10, 12-yard outs and curls very easily.
Terry Cash in motion on the ground. Nowhere for Samuels, and he does well to get all the way up to the 36-yard line. May have lost one. Michael James and Ty Mason were there to bring him down. Interesting when talking about the Arkansas secondary. They average allowing only 150 passing yards per game. Texas is already above that with that completion one play ago.
But this is a strong Arkansas defense. They play an excellent team defense. There's no one outstanding star like they've had in the past. An Atwater back there. They are all consistent, good football players. They play a team concept, and that's why they've been so productive with their defensive statistics.
No gain on first down, and play action on second for Gardere. Again to the sideline to Walker, and again a first down. When do they start to have to make an adjustment on that?
Well, who do you double cover? That's the big question. You've got Walker on one side who's got outstanding speed, and you have to give him a cushion. You have to give him distance. Watch Gardere find him right there. Boom. He had his choice then. He could have picked up Terry Cash, but he saw Walker downfield a little bit more. What you have to do is you either gamble and try to get pressure on the quarterback and scare him, or else you drop back and try to cover. There you are. There's the passing per game.
Gardere taking what they're given. That's what Lynn Amity wants him to do. Adrian Walker stopped as he reached the 45. Only about 2. Owen Kelly, Tony Allison, Ty Mason, all right there on that tackle.
I looked down there and Chad Rowland, the nose tackle, was saying, I was held. And when he pointed at the referee. He said, look right there. And he had his arm wrapped right around he had someone's arm wrapped around his leg. There's a Texas fan, wasn't it?
I'm not sure he had the score right, but if he's a Texas fan, he had to hook them wrong.
Late score.
A 1 week late score. Second down and 9, and the double reverse, and Jones with a 4.2 speed turns it up, and now outside, and would appear to have a first down. But they like for him to get at least 20 or 30 on that. That's about what he's averaged on the ground this year.
Well, this is good backside containment. When I talked about the team concept, you've got one player that has to turn it in. You see him right there. I think it was number 57. That's the outside backer. He's got to turn that play in. If he lets it get around him, then you pick up the 20, 30 yards. But that's team concept. Everybody has a responsibility. Everybody plays their responsibility, and they played it very well on that play.
Jones has averaged 22 yards a carry. He got the first down here. And now Adrian Walker's turn. Good blocking, cuts it up. Nick Thomas held him to a gain of only 2. So evidently, whatever neck problem he had, he's worked out at halftime. Elsewhere on our Dr. Pepper Roundup, Florida has a 14-0 lead over New Mexico. Baylor 8-0 at Waco over Texas A&M. And Oklahoma struggling in the first quarter with the Cyclones.
And there you see Tennessee, Alabama leading in 33-24. That's still in the third quarter. Michigan State, Illinois tied 7-7. And how about TCU and TCU and the Air Force, 20-3 in the third quarter. So that would be a morale booster for TCU.
Again, the underneath pass. Kerry Cash got inside the 30. And Shannon Wright, one of only 2 true freshmen playing for this Arkansas team. The Arkansas Defensive Player of the Year last year, Ford Smith, made the tackle. This is going to set up third down and a long 4.
Well, it's been a long time since I've seen Gardere miss a pass. He has got several in a row.
11 out of 13 for the day for 175 yards for Gardere. Rolling on the rush, Gardere. Walker juggled it and made the grab at the 14.
And Dave, the hardest pass to catch or hardest pass to throw is when you're running to your left, as Gardere is. He runs to his left and throws this pattern. Again, see the curl right there on the 15-yard line. The defensive secondary dropping deep. It's a 2-deep zone, and he's just picking them apart.
He had a 5-yard pad. Now, you got to be closer than that if you're Michael James.
Well, Arkansas usually lets you catch it in front of them and then comes up and they make you pay for it. They'll let you have those little ones.
On first down, Samuel was trying to knife back toward the middle. He got near the 10. A good mixture of the ground and the air on this drive.
Well, it's a good game plan on both coaches. Both coaches utilizing what they do best. That time rolling Gardere. I didn't know that he could throw that well on the run. Running to your left, it's hard to throw for a right-handed quarterback because you have to throw across your body. But he drilled a bullet in there.
Well, he was no more as a passer than a runner in high school. One of the top 3 or 4 yardage-wise in high school history in Texas. On the option pitch, there's some room, and Samuels managed to stay up after he almost slipped at the 11.
I don't know how he stayed up.
I don't either.
It looked as if he put a hand down or something, because his feet had definitely slipped out from underneath him, but he gained his balance to instead break maybe even. Watch right here. You see the feet go out from under. There goes the hand. No knee touching. And then explodes through a little hole, picks up 3 or 4 more yards. That's the sign of great running backs. Again, that leg strength, those quick legs. You get those feet up and down. It's not a trudging type of thing like you would think of a lineman.
Well, they mark him down at the 7, third down and 3 to keep the drive going. And it is Samuel again, and on second effort, where they mark it will depend, but he looks like he's got a first down and goal at the 3-yard line, and he does. Tough inside run.
That really surprised. Now watch this coming right at you. Watch Samuels. Boom, he gets hit here now. Good cut back into the hole now. He almost gets the ball ripped out here. Now watch him stretch. That's just what you call, that is just hard football.
And then Aaron Jackson looked like an inadvertent grab of the face mask. Too many bodies around, evidently, for the referees to see. First and goal at the 2. And it is Keith Cash trying to leap into the end zone. The wide receiver playing running back here. Nolan and Mason kept him out.
Well, we know about Keith Cash, the football player. We also know about Keith Cash, the basketball player. And that time he got up. Looked like he was going to dunk it for a second, getting up in the air.
You wish that they gave you the stat on his vertical leap.
It's quite a leap. He's got excellent. He's got just excellent strength. This is just power football. Punch it in.
Touchdown.
Touchdown, Texas.
And David McWilliams is saying we're going to go for 2 after the touchdown by the freshman from Fairfield.
Well, if he goes for 2, that'll give him a 21 to 14 point lead. 6 points. If he goes for 1, it's only a 6-point lead. If he goes for 2, it's really, it's not really a real gamble, because you need at least a 7-point lead. Then you put the pressure back on Arkansas. What do they do the next time they score? Notice I say the next time they score.
You have to assume that they will. The only setback is Samuels. Jones there in motion. And the give straight up the middle, and Chris Samuels almost standing up as the 2-point conversion. They stretch out the punches right through the middle.
Everybody thinks pass on that play. Now, this is the touchdown. This is just power football. This is Tubbs up the middle. Big person up there, 240 pounds, 6'5". Freshman, he just barrels in there. Now, this play, they stretch. This is the extra point. You see how wide the splits are? Everybody's thinking pass or run wide. He just cuts it back inside and goes in, as you said, standing up.
Impressive drive that was. 14 plays and 80 yards into the win, where Texas has scored all 21 of their points today.
They certainly did. They took the opening kickoff, drove all the way down.
They did have the one field goal toward the end.
Right, but they drove the length of the field with the opening kickoff, and now they come back with a 14-play, 80-yard drive. Very impressive. Led by that freshman quarterback, Gardere.
All but the 34-yard field goal late in the first half by Clemens has been against the wind. And Barry Foster, again, standing at his 10-yard line, so he expects outstanding field position after Clemens kicks it off.
Well, this is so typical of a rivalry, and the rivalry that we talked about, this rivalry being one of the top 4 or 5 rivalries in the country. You can throw away all the stats, all the records, all the scores, how well you did against this team and how well the other team did against them. You can throw it all out the window when you play this game.
Well, Foster had it judged about right, but it bounces away from him, and he better down that ball because it's live, and now they finally get the touchback. Back to what we talked about earlier that Arkansas had to do.
Well, they had to take control early. They really have not done that. They've never taken Texas out of this football game. Dominate on special teams. Well, they had that play, but they didn't capitalize off it. And they certainly have not rattled Peter Gardere. He has just had an exceptional day. Gardere sitting out there, and you see Quinn Grovey's statistics, but Gardere coming down and leading his team here. Gosh, 12 of 14, 191 yards. It's not a freshman.
Not much of a freshman. Doesn't act like one. Rouse and Foster in the eye. Grovey with the pitch to Rouse. And the first man to hit him was Rocky Allen, who may have stretched forward for 1 or 2.
But I'll tell you what great teams do. Great teams, whether it be Texas or whether it be Arkansas, always answer the call. They always answer. You see the statistics under Gardere, 12 to 14, 190 yards. But great teams come back and they answer. And this Arkansas team is a great football team. They didn't get to be where they are ranked nationally because they just were lucky.
No, you're not lucky if you win 16 out of 17, as they have, and there was early movement, and we'll see whether it was Mark Henry, 65, or Rocky Allen who moved first. It was Henry.
See, you continually put pressure. Arkansas, they react and they work much better when they're in that second down and say, maybe 6 to 10 yard range, or 6 to 8 yard range, than they do when they come up and they're looking at a second down and 12, 14. It almost automatically takes the run out of the game plan.
They've been good in the last couple of years because they've been able to do it when they wanted to. One key today you had to figure was whether they had to pass or whether they chose to pass. They keep it on the ground. And E.D. Jackson got a couple, and then immediately a fired-up Texas defense drove him back.
And if they don't convert this third down, we may see the first punt. Believe that, the first punt by Arkansas. They haven't punted today.
Now, we talked about the third down prowess of Arkansas. They averaged 53% for the year. Their opponents 28%, and they've needed about the same amount on third down. Arkansas is about right at their season percentage.
Well, this is a big one.
Straight drop, and Grovey has a look, and he's got a freshman, Ron Dickerson, but he didn't get near the first down yardage. Ron Dickerson may be their biggest offensive recruit out of State College, Pennsylvania. How'd the Nittany Lions let him get away?
Well, his father is a coach there at Penn State, and he let the decision be his son's. He said, son, you go where you want to go, and the young man chose the University of Arkansas.
Ron Dickerson, an outstanding high school running back, and his dad also was roommates in college at Kansas State of the Razorbacks' strength coach, John Stuckey. First punt of the day for Alan Meacham. He's been a little bit banged up, hasn't practiced in a couple of weeks. Samuels from his 35 is flung forward for a gain of about 5 on the return. So Texas in control on the scoreboard and back in possession as we play in the third. 21-14. They passed almost at will today. Now does Arkansas have to abandon that ball control, let them throw inside the defensive scheme?
Well, I think you've got to cover the wideouts a little bit closer, but I think they're afraid of getting burned. And they may do a double coverage wideout, run the safeties, both safeties, to pick up Walker and Jones on the outside, but the running game is still there.
Chris Samuel spinning inside the 41, maybe the 42. Ty Mason hit him first, and then Michael Shepard. And don't forget, later on today, Dave and I will be selecting the Coors Player of the Game at the conclusion of today's telecast, so please stay with us.
This is an important series. You know, every series, you hate to say that this is an important series, but Arkansas needs to get the ball back and need to take control of this football game if they're in fact going to be successful. They cannot allow Gardere to take them back down the field again.
This is Lamell Foreman. Not much, maybe one. Curtis Banks and Tony Allison made the tackle. And meanwhile, on the Arkansas sideline, their all-conference defensive tackle being worked on. Michael Shepard had a banged-up shoulder and now walking back up and may go back in just from the looks of things. His backup is Mackenzie Phillips. Only one on each of the first 2 on this drive by Texas as you look at Shepard. So third down and 8 needed. They're a pretty good third down team themselves today. Gardere has Samuels, who does not get the first down. Ty Mason wrapped him up before he got to midfield, and then Aaron Jackson helped out.
And they put some pressure on Gardere for the first time. They were able to get pressure up in his face, and they're going to have to, in fact, punt it away. Now watch the pressure here. You're going to see number 70 and 51. That's a loop in there. That's Chad Rowland, and I don't know who that is. That's Mackenzie Phillips. Excuse me. I shouldn't say who that is. But that's Mackenzie Phillips. They did a little loop in there, and they got up in his face and caused him to throw that ball quicker.
Will Jadal involved in the first big play on the 0-yard punt, setting up E.D. Jackson's first Arkansas touchdown. This one, a perfect nose-down spiral and a fair catch by Tim Horton at the 14. 4:52 in the third quarter. Arkansas will try to drive for the tying score. Top there by the Arkansas defense.
That was a very important one. Now I look for Arkansas to take that ball and try to drive it and do what they do best. That's run, control, football, run the ball down, and find a way to get some offensive continuity back. They've had a chance to sit over here on the sideline, and all of a sudden, the whole complexion of the game changes. You got offensive linemen saying, we can do it, let's get out there. Texas on the other side saying, we can stop them.
James Rouse stopped on first down after he got to the 15. Rouse with the big 51-yard gain to set up an Arkansas touchdown in the first half. Only 2 other Hogs have ever gained 1,000 yards in the season. Ben Cowens did it 3 times, and Dickie Morton did it twice. And that's a little surprising when you consider the long history of great running backs that they've had here.
Well, you talk about long history. They have a long list also of running backs. When you stop and look at the running backs that they have in their backfield right now, they've got 6 running backs that are class running backs, could start for most college teams.
Give up the middle, and there is that yardage after contact by Barry Foster that we talked about. Foster almost never goes down on the initial hit.
Very compact, 5'10", 220 pounds. He's just a compact player. Now watch this. Now here's the contact. Boom. Now how many yards does he get afterwards? Look at that. Boom. Doesn't fall back. Referee, get out of my way.
Got about 8, it looked like. And Arkansas set up first down now at the 24. Ackermack and Duncombe finally able to make the tackle. And limping off, another Longhorn, looks like Rocky Allen, who saw his season ending this game last year when he injured a knee after a career-high 12 tackles. Foster this time sat upon, only maybe a 1-yard gain.
Now what Arkansas is trying to do is they're trying to get that established running right up the gut. Try to hit Foster 2 or 3 times in there, so you tighten down the linebackers. All of a sudden, when you pull it out of Foster and you go wide, you've got that pitch option.
Well, we'll wait And see if we get word on Rocky Allen. That position was the most banged up for Texas last year. This year it has been the secondary. 3 wide outs. And they keep it on the ground to Foster. And again, he drags tacklers forward to the 33. Brian Jones down there along with Boone Powell. Right past the initial defensive surge by the line and into the linebacker area.
Well, that tightens it up right there. That's what you try to do. You try to run that thing right up the gut here. Now watch right here. Give it to Foster. Boom. Now look right here. Bam. You can see he's just pulling away. See and that's well. Look at that block in the background. Boy, that was a decleater in the background. Whoever got that hit.
Big play here on 3rd and 1. And again, 3 wideouts. Grovey, quick pitch, bobbled, and Jackson is stopped for a loss. They'd had such success through the middle, they decided to go wide this time, and he almost coughed it up.
Well, watch how quickly Grovey has to pitch this ball. Boom, right there, I have to pitch it. You see how quickly he was getting? And he just didn't have time to lay it out there softly. He had to drill the ball out there. That's one thing that Texas has been able to do. They've been able to stop Grovey at the corners and make him pitch that ball. And Grovey's rushing statistics are nothing like they were last week.
Shane Dranette made that hit, causing the quick pitch. Second fumble by Jackson today. And the second punt by Alan Meacham's a good one from the 25, Samuels. Up to the 38. Not great speed, but he knows where the holes are in the punt return game. Texas up by 7. Good field position at their 38-yard line. Real late in the 3rd quarter. 21-14 Texas, and the Longhorns start from the 38-yard line. 1:54 in the 3rd quarter. And Gardere again to the side. Tony Jones caught it inbounds. First down, Arkansas 44.
Boy, it's a good thing Jones had those fast feet, because he was backing out of bounds. And watch the feet once he catches it. Has to have 1 foot in bounds. There it is. He's got 1 foot in bounds and steps out of bounds. Again, that sideline pattern, those curls, and you just keep on giving. That's a tough defensive play, but you have to respect that speed that they have at their outside wide receivers.
On the draw, loss. Adrian Walker stopped by Chad Rowland. He was at home in the offensive backfield. He's got 4 sacks this year. Michael Shepard, by the way, okay after getting the blow on the shoulder, and he's back in the game.
Well, those front linemen for Arkansas have certainly played well. Allison with 17 to 20 tackles, I guess it is, and Rowland with over 20 tackles. Michael Shepard with 26 tackles. They've played very strong football up front versus the run. But now they have to get past, they have to get rush on the quarterback. You've got to get pressure on him. It's definitely a pass situation.
Jones over the middle, big hit. Knocked into his own man, Kerry Cash, but he hangs onto the ball, and another Longhorn first down. This one to the 27. Michael James delivers the blow here.
This is a crossing pattern in the middle. Watch right here. Make the break and bend to the post. You see it right there in the middle? Now that was man-to-man coverage that time. That's not bad coverage. But Gardere is really on. I'll tell you, it's been a long time since I've seen a quarterback, any freshman quarterback, complete 15 of 17 for 233 yards already. He is just having a marvelous day.
All they want him to do is take what's given, and that's all he's done today. Although almost perfectly.
He's very calm back in there. You just don't look for that in a freshman.
Just his 3rd game as a starter. First down and 10, Adrian Walker. There was a gap. He ran into his own man, and he'll settle for a gain of maybe 4 yards. Walker still alternating with Chris Samuels at the tailback. Mason and Rowland for the Arkansas tackle.
No, if my stats man doesn't betray me here.
Kirk McCarley would never betray anyone.
If he doesn't betray me, I don't think Gardere has had an incompletion in the second half. And he says that's right. Thank you, Kirk.
2nd and 7 here with Cash in motion. Again through the middle, Adrian Walker. Good leg drive up to the 20. They should need about 2 on 3rd down. And Bubba Barrow, senior from Benton, made the tackle. That is the end of the 3rd quarter. So Texas, after trailing by 1 at halftime, gets the touchdown, gets the 2-point conversion, and they lead 21-14 at the end of 3. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network. Dave Barnett, Dave Rowe back at Fayetteville, Arkansas. 21-14 Texas as we begin the fourth quarter. Longhorn ball. They look at 3rd down and 3 at the Arkansas 20. And the fine nose guard, Chad Rowland for the Razorbacks, hurt his hand on that last play, so he's out of there. Owen Kelly has checked in. Texas in the eye with Walker and Burleson behind Gardere. And Keith Cash in motion. This is Adrian Walker. Inside the 15, 7 yards, and another Longhorn first down.
Dave, I know you've been in this stadium before and seen a crowd like this. They have phenomenal fan support here. As we watch this run for the first down, they have phenomenal fan support, but I have never heard a quieter 50-some thousand people. They are just stunned coming into this game. What was Texas, a 12-point underdog? 14-point underdog. And we've got the makings of a huge upset here. But there's a lot of time left in this fourth quarter.
The hot man, Adrian Walker, high load that time. For what appeared to be no gain, Nick Thomas and Chris Hunter did the work. There's Thomas. Well, these 53,000 are looking at deja vu. They've seen this just too many times. Only 3 Arkansas wins ever in this stadium against Texas.
You know, the thing when I was talking with Kenny Hatfield, he said, let's forget about the history, way back history. He said, our guys have played very well against Texas. And he said, well, we can forget about history, but history has a way of creeping back in there, and tradition and rivalry. You say those words, and you think you're the losing team that says them, but it's a big factor in this football game.
Here comes the safety blitz. Patrick Williams knocked it away, and the loss is back to the 25-yard line.
Boy, and that'll show you how Gardere concentrated on the ball. He never saw Patrick Williams. Watch this. Patrick Williams is going to be coming from the right of your screen. Look at Gardere. Heads-up play there by Patrick Williams. And that's a big loss.
Co-leader in interceptions in the Southwest Conference last year. Williams, from the rover position, caused a loss of 12 yards.
Boy, instead of looking at a 2nd down and 10 or 3rd down and 10, now they're looking at a 3rd down and 22 yards to go.
Well, you wondered when they'd start to gamble.
They did that time.
And it paid off. And Gardere is going to head to the sidelines as Arkansas also will take a break. This the first Texas timeout of the second half. 13:15 to go in the fourth quarter. Numerically, Texas had closed the gap a little bit on the ground, but look at it, it's just no contest through the air.
Well, it isn't. And look at the total yards. That's quite a shock. We had an Arkansas team coming into this football game that was averaging 349 yards rushing on the ground, and they are not today.
3rd and 22. That may have been the biggest defensive play of the day by Arkansas. No blitz here, and Gardere looking for Tony Jones, knocked away by Michael James.
Boy, and Tony Jones had the corner. I mean, he was open going to the corner. The ball is just a little bit underthrown. That's the movement to give you the fake pump. Now watch right here. Look at Jones. He is wide open, and watch Michael James, number 7, go up and tip that ball away. Now this is coming at you. Now watch, you'll see Tony Jones in the bottom of your picture. Look how wide open he is. There's the coverage coming in there.
That ball is just underthrown.
Yeah, that's all. That's the only reason that it's not a touchdown.
So Wayne Clements will try a 42-yarder. He's 2 for 2 today and make it 3 of 3.
And he inches closer to that 60 kicks. Only 15 kickers have made 60 field goals. And I think that gives him 55 now.
Wayne Clements celebrating what is now a 10-point Texas lead. But during that timeout, the Arkansas players trying to exhort some noise out of these 53,000. 24-14 after Wayne Clement's third field goal of the day. But back to the two defensive plays. Williams' sack is huge, even though they still get the 3. And then the Gardere ball deflected by Michael James may have been his only truly bad pass this afternoon.
It's hard to believe. He completed 7 in a row, and on that pass, he doesn't lead him enough. He underthrows it and allows Michael James to come back there, get the hand up. You're right. There's been so many big plays. I think of the block punt, the block kick, the pass. Gosh, it's just been a day of big plays.
No chance for Barry Foster. Biggest kickoff of the day by Wayne Clements. Elsewhere on the Dr. Pepper Roundup. Alabama stretching it out over number 6 Tennessee, which came in with a huge winning streak. 7-7 now in the 4th. Michigan State and Illinois. And look at TCU against an Air Force team that's only loss came against Notre Dame. Florida by 3 touchdowns. And Baylor and Iowa State also in front.
It's surprising, that Baylor team. A lot of people look at that one there. Nebraska straightened it out on Oklahoma State. That's only in the second period. And Rice Tech game. Rice ahead. 3-0 over Texas Tech.
Barry Switzer may be glad that he's here at this game instead of at Oklahoma and Iowa State. Barry Foster slips, and that turf has cost the Horns more yardage than the Hogs today. But that may have been a big gainer, and as it is, he got maybe a half yard.
Well, the one thing you don't want to do in this situation is to change your offensive philosophy. You still have practiced, and if you're Arkansas, you have to go back to what you do well, and that's control it. Look at Grovey. We talked about his rushing average last week. 8 carries for 105 yards. Today, not a yard rushing. That shows that they stopped him at the corners. That was their defensive philosophy. Stop him at the corners, make him pitch it early, and they certainly have done that so far.
Pitch to Foster. Anthony Curl wrapped him up and drove him out of bounds. They went to the short side of the field that time, and he ran out of room. Again, Dave and I will select the Coors Player of the Game at the conclusion of today's telecast, so please stay with us.
Well, some good candidates out there. Right away, you have to think of Gardere. You have to think of Tony Jones and Walker. Then you have to think of some of the Arkansas players. Rouse, who's had a good day.
Arkansas on third downs today. They came in 53% for the year on third downs.
You can see that they've only made 3 of them. Is that correct?
They need 4 yards. And Grovey has it to Derek Russell at the 38. Make it Tim Horton with the first down yardage.
Boy, and this is a nice play. Horton just does a crossing pattern. You're going to see him at the top of your screen. Now watch. Plant and come right across the line. He's got the first down yardage, and Grovey just delivers a strike. Look it in, make sure, just get down. But we don't oftentimes give Grovey the credit. Probably he doesn't receive credit that he deserves, but that's as well a ball as you can throw.
Arkansas with a big first down. Juju Harshaw, the off-tackle run gets him about 5. Haven't seen that much of Harshaw on the ground today. It's been mainly Rouse, Jackson, and Foster, but Harshaw would start and would star for a lot of teams.
Oh, boy, he is quite a football player. We've watched him for several years, a junior this year. He's got one of those 6-yard-plus average carries. One of the things that compounds Arkansas's problem as they face 11.5 minutes left in this fourth quarter is that they are not usually a fast-scoring offense. They're more of a methodical, grinded-out type offense.
Grovey denied that option pitch that time. And it was Bo Robinson with his second big play of the day. On that catch a couple of plays ago, Tim Horton limped off. He had been bothered by a sprained knee the last couple of weeks. And they are looking at him on the sideline for Arkansas. That would be a big loss if he can't come back in. Accomack is out of there for Texas. They've got big Tommy Jeter, high school All-American from Deer Park, in, along with James Patton at the defensive tackles. Here is third down and 6. And Grovey, a lot of time. Derek Russell has the first down in Longhorn territory. Barry and Jax saw him cut inside, and again the Grovey pass is right there.
Oh, it is. And what he does is he's going to just come down, establish his position, run the defender off. Now stop and Plant come underneath. And you can see he turned the defender all the way around. Now just hold on to it and get down. But let me tell you what Grovey did that time. He stepped up and looked as if he wanted to run. At the last second, he flipped that ball. That was a heads-up play because he might have made 4 or 5 yards. But he pulled it down and brought down the first down.
For Schick, permanent storyline. Gardere has missed only 3 passes all day. Grovey held in check, 3 Arkansas turnovers, and an Arkansas timeout here. So each team has 2 remaining. Interesting time for a timeout right after they picked up a first down. 10 minutes and 22 seconds to play. Texas has its biggest lead of the day, but Arkansas is marching. Here we are, and that's how windy it is. Look at the camera shaking back and forth. By the way, TCU and Baylor both winning in upsets so far today, and just an incredible show by the Horned Frogs over Air Force, led by V. Dallas. They're up 27-3 on their last report against the possible Heisman Trophy winner. There's the quarterback comparison. They were down to 1 second on the 25-second clock. That's why they burned the timeout. And now Grovey just gets away from Jeter and has time to look. And that time is gone. Brian Jones all the way back at midfield made the sack.
Grovey wanted to pull that ball down and wanted to find Cedric Fillmore on the far side. Now watch the footwork of Grovey. He doesn't think this turf is slippery. There goes 1 down. This is surprising right here. He breaks away on that tackle. Now right here, pull up, see if you can find Fillmore. All of a sudden Fillmore's covered. Oh boy, I got to pull it back down. And there's Brian Jones to say hello.
3rd sack of the year for the transfer from UCLA, and now 2nd down and 18 needed. Grovey again with time over the middle. Has Horton out of bounds at the 20. And the knee must not feel too bad. 29 yards for the senior from Conway, Arkansas.
Well, that crossing pattern has been open for him a lot of times. You're going to see Horton. He's going to be at the top of your screen coming on that same crossing pattern right there. You see him wide open right in the middle on about the 32-yard line. There's Fillmore gets a good block in there. It gives him an extra 5 or 6 yards. But all of a sudden, Arkansas was faced with an almost impossible situation, and now Grovey has completed the pass to give him a first down.
Quick give, Harshaw. He carried a couple of tacklers forward for a yard or 2. And Hackamack is back in there. He helped out on the tackle.
Well, you've got to go for it in this situation. You've got just 9 minutes left, 9 minutes and a few seconds left when this play takes off. And you've got to come away with something on this drive. This is imperative. You try to get that field goal. You try to get the touchdown, settle for the field goal only if you have to.
Still on the ground, Foster had the early hole, and then Anthony Curl filled it. He got inside the 15, and where they mark it, this should be about 3rd down and 5 needed.
And that may be Hackamack down on the ground there.
That is Ken Hackamack. It has been that kind of game. We've seen somebody helped off the field, it seems like, about every possession. All David McWilliams needs, of course, is his top defensive lineman not to be able to continue. His biggest worry when we talked to him before the game seemed to be injuries, even more so than the fact that they're playing at the number 6 team in the country.
Well, I remember Hackamack suffered a severe injury to a knee. I think it was last year or the year before. I believe it was last year, and that's got to be a concern.
It was in this game a year ago.
Right. That's got to be a concern. It's going to take about 3 guys to help him up. 6'10". I'll tell you one thing, he is a real competitor.
But not limping, and that is a nice sign. And so Lance Wilson, a 6'4", 264-pound sophomore from Pflugerville, is Hackamack's replacement.
And I can tell you it's going to be hard to keep that young man out of this football game. Now look right there, Razorbacks. Are you Cotton Bowl? What's that say? Cotton Bowl. Obviously. Member. Well, that's one way to spell Raycom.
3rd down and call it 6. Bakewitz to Harshaw. Grovey on the keeper. It's going to be very close. Oscar Giles popped him from behind as he reached the 10-yard line. Now the marking is everything.
And I can tell you this is a tough decision. You want to get the field. You want to get at least some points here. I think they've almost got to call timeout and discuss it. It's that big a series.
They have called their 2nd timeout. They're down to 1 remaining. A lot of time. 8 minutes, 19 seconds. They will talk over a 4th and 2. Hackamack, and he would appear to be done for the day. Rocky Allen, his other defensive tackle, also helped off quite a while ago. We haven't seen him, so both the starting DTs out right now for David McWilliams, and the Hogs have sent Quinn Grovey back in there and appear to be ready to go for it on 4th down and a short 2.
And you remember what happened last week when Texas stopped Oklahoma deep in their own territory twice.
Barry Foster, touchdown, Arkansas.
What a play call by Kenny Hatfield. What a play call. If he doesn't pick up that first down and doesn't get points out of that drive, he's got everybody second-guessing him. But he goes for it. He does what he thinks he can do best. That's run the football. They pitch it out. They go to a man who averages 6.2 yards per carry, has not been stopped behind the line of scrimmage all year, and they come up with 6, possibly 8 points.
And you mentioned the key, not stopped for a loss all year. So the odds when you go to Foster are he's going to pick it up. It's his 6th touchdown, and they go for 2, trailing by 4. It is Foster. He does not get it. Mark Berry got him low, and Brian Jones got him high.
And that same thing could have happened on the touchdown run, but it did not. Foster took that pitch. Grovey's going to go down the line to our left, pitch the ball. Foster just cuts back. Nice cutback right there. Picks up a couple blocks and just goes in the end zone for a touchdown. Now here's the same, almost the exact same play. This time he pitches it to him, and watch the corner come up there and just chop out his legs. Boom. Down he goes for no gain.
Texas breathing a little bit easier, although that's the shot of adrenaline that Arkansas needed, and certainly the crowd was looking for. 8 minutes and 14 seconds to go. And the word on Ken Hackamack is he's definitely out for the rest of the day, and just another problem for David McWilliams, injury-wise, to have to consider. Bruce Shoulder has him done.
And this is a kick into the wind, if I'm right. The way the wind is blowing, looking at the flags. Yes, it's a kick in the wind, so Texas should get the ball back. In fact, Tony Jones is standing about the 15-yard line. So he's expecting to get it short, and they're expecting great field position.
There's the scoring drive, a long one, 12 plays, capped off by Foster's 6th touchdown. When they need the big play, they have Jones returning kicks, although Lynn Amity said they didn't want to have to use him there because he had one of the stars, Stacy Simmons, at Florida last year, knocked out for the season on a kick return. From the 13, nowhere to go.
Oh, boy, what coverage. I want to tell you, when he ran up there, there was just a mass of red shirts covering that play. He got that ball on about the 11, 12-yard line, and I don't know, he made it out to what, about the 20? Boy, oh boy, that's great coverage. And now this crowd comes alive.
Look at those numbers. But the situation is now so terribly different for him with the crowd doing this.
Oh, it's a totally different game. Now you can hardly hear your signals with this crowd.
Gardere has to keep it. And he's got a 1st down. But you know what? He had Tony Jones wide open and gone if he had time to find him.
Well, he tried to run a rollout action, and he had 2 defenders in his place. Watch this fake action. Now watch, he has 2 defenders in his face there.
Look at Jones, top of the screen. Nobody picked him up, but Gardere didn't have time.
And I thought he wasn't a runner. He just picked up a big 1st down.
But Arkansas ought to be breathing a sigh of relief for what might have been. Adrian Walker hit hard by Ty Mason, the sophomore from Decatur, Illinois, and a gain of about 3 yards. Adrian Walker this year, nice 5.2 yard per carry average. Good ball control back. There's our situation in Fayetteville, Arkansas. 53,000, louder than they've been all afternoon.
They're all standing up for the first time. Everybody in the entire stadium is standing up. It's like they saved all the cheering for now.
Walker nowhere on the draw. Michael Shepard was not fooled.
It's hard to believe that you can save all that exuberance for 3 quarters and about 7 minutes. And I'll tell you one thing, you're going to know very quickly whether Gardere picks up this first down. It's 3rd down and 10. And the crowd yell will tell the story.
They have blown the whistle, and Texas took too much time. But they'd rather have that than the fumble that they almost had.
Well, I don't think he can hear his signals down there on the field. When he came up to the line, it looked as if he was trying to call an audible, and I think he was yelling it out 2 or 3 times and just could not hear it. There's a dead ball call, delay a game, 5 yards. Now it's 3rd down and about 16 yards to go.
Well, you think we were in the Kingdome as loud as it is here.
Oh, boy. That's what I say. They saved it all up for this one big play.
3rd down and 15. Jones to the right, Walker to the left. He's got Kerry Cash, who is very close for a first down.
Oh, boy. How did he find Kerry Cash over the middle? He had to jump over top of, it looked as if he had to jump over top of Chad Rowland. Watch this right here. There's 51. Look there. Watch Kerry Cash come right in the middle. How did he ever see him? There was Rowland right in front of him with those big arms up. He finds Kerry Cash, who's 6'4". Maybe that's why he found him.
Rowland at 6'3", trying to provide that screen. But Gardere again makes the play, and it's 1st and 10 again. Horns at their own 45. Adrian Walker, Horns going conservative on 1st down on this drive. And of course, the clock is in their favor and continues to roll inside 5:40.
Remember all those Arkansas times they had to use those timeouts. They have 1 timeout left, so they are not going to stop the clock via the timeout. They're going to have to stop it.
Tony Allison, the latest player to have to leave. He banged up an ankle. Fine defensive tackle for Arkansas, so Scott Long is in on 2nd and 8.
Oh, I saw movement on the offensive guard.
Flag down, and so is Adrian Walker. He got drilled by Ben Floor.
Now was the flag thrown before the play. It looked as if the left guard, again, not being able to hear that snap count, you almost have to go when you see movement. That would have been Dwayne Miller, I believe. No, it's a dead ball foul off movement. Let's see if perhaps we can see that movement. Watch on the left of your screen, the 2nd man from the center, the guard there. See if we see it. See the movement there?
That is Dwayne Miller, and just a hair early.
And I can understand it. You can't hear anything down there. We're shouting at each other up here.
I'm used to being shouted at. No problem. 6th Texas penalty. Arkansas only 3. The clock continues to roll, and we're just about at 5 minutes. Another big long yardage play for Peter Gardere. 2nd down and a long 12 at his own 42.
Well, this freshman quarterback hasn't made many mistakes today.
Here comes the rush. Going for Jones. Knocked away by Anthony Cooney. Flag is down again, however. Shannon Wright put the rush on Gardere. Anthony Cooney got the big deflection.
It's an ineligible downfield. That's not pass interference, which went through the hearts of all the Arkansas fans.
And McWilliams talked before the game about the youth on his team and the penalties, and a lot of them he felt were very needless penalties. Certainly at this time of the game, you can't afford any penalty.
No, you don't want to have a penalty like that. He's got such a young squad, and they are just at the brink of turning this whole thing around. Last week, you could see they just kind of mustered the exuberance about it, and then to come in and play such a fine football game, you don't want to make foolish mistakes. There's Hackemack.
He's out with that shoulder bruise.
That looks like it's up in the collarbone area, up in the top of the shoulder.
Second straight Arkansas game that Hackemack's been knocked out. They declined it, so third and a long 12 with Jones and Walker, both wide to the right. Rush comes, down goes Gardere. Bubba Barrow with the sack.
What a rush by Bubba Barrow. I want to tell you, they came out and blocked on him, and he literally leaped over top. Watch to the right of your screen. He leaps over top of the offensive blocker and comes down with his biggest play of the day.
His third sack of the year, and Liljegard will have to kick it.
And he better get a good one.
He better. He's got the wind behind him, and this is a monster. Horton lets this drop, and it does get the Arkansas bounce, and they start from their 20-yard line.
A 63-yard punt.
4 minutes exactly remaining in Fayetteville, and the Hogs have time to try and pull it out. Number two, a lot of things are different from 20 years ago, but this situation is remarkably similar.
But with the opposite team carrying the football now, let's watch and see if Arkansas can drive down the field and get in the same position that Texas did to win that game 20 years ago. Very, very similar situation.
That is Jason Brandt in motion. This is Foster. And he's hit by Tommy Jeter and Shane Brunette. A good first down gain out across the 25-yard line, pick up of 5 yards. But look at the time, and you have to wonder how much Grovey can mix the run with the pass this drive.
Well, that's the first thing that jumps out and grabs you in that bottom right-hand corner is, can they run 10 or 15 running plays to get downfield, or will they have to, in fact, call on Quinn Grovey's arm?
Only one timeout. Remember that for Arkansas. Foster, only a couple. Boone Powell fell on him, and this sets up third down and at least 3.
And if you're Texas, you're excited about this. Let them keep it going, because that clock is now, before they run this play, that clock will be under 3 minutes. Again, they have one timeout. They've got to get a touchdown. Remember, they missed the 2-point conversion, so they've got to go all the way in for a score.
And the Texas successful 2-point conversion also is pretty large here. 3 wideouts and the eye behind Grovey. And it is Foster. And for the first time this year, he has been stopped for a loss. He lost his footing at the 25.
Boy, and what a play coming out. This is going to be 2.5 minutes when they get this. This is amazing.
Loss of about a half yard by Barry Foster. And Ken Hatfield has used his final timeout. Dave Barnett, Dave Rowe back in Fayetteville. Arkansas has just used their final timeout. They look at 4th down and 5. On 3rd down, a lot of fans through his career have been on Ken Hatfield for not throwing the ball. But he put the ball in his best ball carrier's hands, and it previously worked for a touchdown and almost 2 points.
Certainly did. Now it's going to be on the arm of Quinn Grovey, because I can't imagine them running in this situation. Look for the sprint out.
Derek Russell in motion. And it is the sprint out. And he can't find anybody. Grovey up the sideline, has the first down, and Arkansas is alive.
Boy, and they wanted the pile-on penalty there. It looked as if Grovey again is getting out of bounds and somebody hit him. But what a play by Quinn Grovey. Watch this. It's a sprint out action that gives you the run pass action. Now, its linemen don't know that.
He has to do this on his own. He has to avoid number 60. That's Brian Jones, the middle linebacker. Now there's where they wanted to hit. He's clearly out of bounds.
David McWilliams' defense before that play had held Grovey to 7 carries and -4 rushing yards, but he got 8 and the first.
He's got 65 yards to go. He's got 2 minutes and 25 seconds to do it.
Actually call it a gain of 10. And Grovey has Derek Russell, but he will lose. They immediately converged on him, and the clock continues to roll. Big play by Paul Bierman and Boone Powell.
Boy, now it is time. You have got to go downfield. You've got to get Horton coming on that crossing pattern. You got to come up with something to get downfield. We find Fillmore down there. He was open one time earlier. But it's time to abandon the run and find the pass.
Russell and Horton both wide to the right. Fillmore is to the left on play action. Grovey through Anthony Curl's hands. He got the first interception today, and he almost just sealed a win for Texas.
And that ball got out of Grovey's hands. Watch the way the ball comes off. You can see the ball really is not delivered. 2 Texas defenders right there. Again, watch Grovey here. See the way the ball goes right between the hands of Anthony Curl.
Boy, he made a nice play to get his interception, but if Arkansas pulls this game out, he's going to dream about that one that got away.
There's another man that's dreaming. He's thinking back a few years, too.
3rd and 13. Draw play for James Rouse. Nowhere near the first down. And the clock rolls at 1:35 and counting.
And another 4th down situation. 4th down and about 8 yards to go. Under 1.5 minutes. Wow.
Kept it on the ground to James Rouse, who hadn't handled the ball much, if at all, this second half.
I can't understand. You got to get up on the line and run a play, Arkansas.
Grovey, a lot of time. Here comes Dronette, and the ball is way over Tim Horton. And with 1:09 remaining, the celebration begins for the few Texas fans here and inside David McWilliams. Although McWilliams' face isn't going to show it, the pressure by a true freshman, Shane Dronette, may have caused Grovey to hurry just enough to overthrow Tim Horton. Our player of the game went 16 of 20 for 247 yards. Coors player of the game is Peter Gardere, the redshirt freshman from Houston Lee, who has continued to add to what is a growing Texas legend in just his first year and 3rd game as a starter.
Cardiac kids. 3 wins, 3 starts, 3 wins. 2 of them almost unbelievable to come in here against an undefeated Arkansas team.
And all 3 of them come from behind jobs. Had to do it against Rice. A lot of people wrote Texas off when that happened a couple of weeks ago. Look at this final. How about that for TCU over number 17 Air Force? TCU and Baylor next week. Clock rolls at 48 seconds here. And they talked about how the McWilliams program turned the corner against Oklahoma last week. Now they're starting to sprint up the sideline with this victory today. David McWilliams never lost to Arkansas as a player. Ken Hatfield lost on the last play of the game 2 years ago in Little Rock and had it down to his last offensive play before his chances ran out today. Well, there's a difference of about 1 second on the 2 clocks. Texas may have to snap it one more time. And the Longhorns have won here in Fayetteville against the number 6 team in the nation.
So many different plays that were just unbelievable in this game. Blocked field goals, going for 2 and not getting it, going for 2 and getting it. Just amazing the number of things that happened today.
So Texas now in charge of the Southwest Conference race. They are 3-0. They dropped the Hogs to 2-1. Our final again in Fayetteville, Arkansas. The Longhorns 24, the Hogs 20. Next Saturday, Jim Wacker and the TCU Horned Frogs face the Baylor Bears in the Southwest Conference Showdown. That's next week on Raycom Sports and Entertainment. Quality shows. Air travel is provided by Southwest Airlines. This has been a copyrighted presentation of Raycom Sports.
In conjunction with Raycom Sports and Entertainment.
In Arkansas's comeback win over Houston, the Razorbacks gained the second most total yards in school history. Quarterback Quinn Grovey led the way with the big day individually, passing for a career-high 256 yards, rushing for 79 more, and accounting for 5 touchdowns. Rice's Donald Hollis is also a dual threat. After 2 years of playing mostly defense, he's a full-time quarterback now, ranking second in the Southwest Conference in total offense. And he's helping bring respect to the Owls' improving program. Today, Arkansas and Rice are primed for an offensive showcase. Raycom Sports and Entertainment presents Southwest Conference Football. Today's game is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and Stadium, just a couple of miles south of downtown Houston, and today the Owls play host to the Arkansas Razorbacks. And happy to have you with us again. Dave Barnett along with Dave Rowe. As we focus in on the quarterback matchup today, let's take Andre Ware of Houston, who may win the Heisman Trophy, and put him off in a class by himself. And we may have the best of the rest in the conference.
Well, I think we do. You know the old adage, as the quarterback goes, so goes the team. And that's true today with both Quinn Grovey and Donald Hollis. For Quinn Grovey, it's a little bit different this year. The junior is much more mature. He's a much better leader on the field. They look for him to pitch the ball a little bit and to throw the ball. Last week, 268 yards against Houston.
And you wonder what Donald Hollis means to the Rice offense. He is literally 2/3 of their attack.
Oh, he is Mr. Everything on this Rice team. Can play both defense and offense. He's been moved to quarterback. And look there, he has been directly attributable to 2,000 of their 2,900 yards. He is quite a player.
The coaching matchup also is interesting. It's one of those things you get occasionally where the off-the-field relationship is as important as what happens on the field to them.
Well, they are very, very good friends. They coached together at Air Force for 5 years, and then they went out there to Arkansas, and then Fred Goldsmith was the defensive coordinator. They're very, very close. Interesting enough, they said, fortunately, we don't have to play each other, meaning personally, but it's going to be quite a match today.
Well, last year, of course, Fred Goldsmith was part of the Arkansas coaching staff, which saw Rice play them off their feet in Little Rock, and the Razorbacks only won 21-14. They come in today as about a 3-touchdown favorite, but if they get caught looking ahead next week to their matchup with Baylor, it may be a little more interesting than a lot of people will figure. Back for the kickoff, the Owls and the Razorbacks coming up. Goldsmith, of course, coaching against some of the people he recruited and brought all the way, defensively at least, to the Mobile Cotton Bowl last year.
That's an interesting quote by him. I'll hug them when they get here, and I'll hug them when they leave, but in between, we're going to get after it.
And Kenny Hatfield, best friends with Goldsmith, says they probably won't call each other. Their wives will definitely get together, and it may be expensive.
Yeah, and go shopping. Well, that's tough. It's really tough because they're very, very close friends with each other, and he said they talk each week. They go over things, and you develop that type of relationship both as players and as coaches, and it's a good one.
Really pleasant weather in Houston today. A slight breeze out of the southeast. There was some rain this morning, and the AstroTurf, as we look at it here prior to kickoff, looks like it's about 100% dry, maybe a little slippery. As you can see, pleasant temperature for Houston, not all that humid. And we look forward to the kickoff between the Rice Owls and Arkansas Razorbacks, who have played over the years a fairly close series. But if you look at it recently, of course, Arkansas has dominated. The last time Rice was victorious back in 1980.
Well, you know, when you look at that, and you think that Arkansas has won the 14 of the last 15 games. Take a look at the summary there. This is both the teams for the season. Look at the dominance of Arkansas rushing the ball. 335 yards a game rushing.
Pat Courtney handles the kickoffs for Rice, a freshman from Tampa, Florida. And Barry Foster is the deep man back for Arkansas. He takes it at the 13. And has an alley up the right sideline, and it is Courtney himself who makes the touchdown as Foster almost arrives at midfield. A 36-yard kickoff return by Foster, the fine running back out of Duncanville, Texas. And Quinn Grovey brings these statistics for his career into battle today. The junior 2-year letterman out of Duncan, Oklahoma, will be joined to the backfield by James Rouse, the fine senior, and Foster, the fullback, with Russell, Horton, and Winston doing most of the catching. And Russell coming off about as good a day as he has ever had in the win over Houston. Mabry, Gifford, Crawford, Henry, and Apolskus are up front. And in the option I offense installed this year at Arkansas, Rouse takes the pitch into Rice territory at the 48 for a pickup of a couple. And so we set the Owl defense. Joel Dawson making the tackle. He's up front along with Matt Sine, Paul Bratzi, and Tim Fitzpatrick. The linebackers are led by O.J. Brigance, who should make some all-conference teams this year. The secondary with Latin, Thornton, Griffin, and Codrington.
Immediately Arkansas comes out and says, we're going to run the football. I think you play into Rice's hands a little bit when you start to run it. You have to pass the football.
Grovey fumbling the snap and then having to retreat back into his own end at the 48 for a loss of 5. He was chased back there by David Griffin, the free safety. The Arkansas must today.
Well, first of all, they must run. When you're averaging 350 yards a game rushing, you've got to run, and you've got to run with authority. Pressure Donald Hollis. He is the key to this offensive unit on Rice. And not look ahead. It's very easy when you're playing a team and you're 20-point favorites to look ahead and say, now, who do we play next week? But I don't believe Kenny Hatfield and his staff will allow his team to look ahead.
After the loss, 3rd down long. They need 13, and on the draw play, Rouse gets the call. And look at the coverage on both ends by the defense. He wanted to throw. He had Tim Horton open, but he only picks up 5 before Codrington escorts him out of bounds at the Rice 48. He had Horton all alone, but could not get the ball to him.
Well, he also had a man downfield. It may have been Apolskus who was downfield, about 4 yards downfield. So he couldn't throw the ball, or it had been brought back.
Alan Meacham with his numbers for the year. Senior from Flagstaff, Arizona, gets off the beauty. Wobbly spiral. Eric Henley with the fair catch at his own 7-yard line. And the Rice offense. Rice, of course, traditionally known for their passing game, and that's not going to change this year. With Donald Hollis second only to Andre Ware in the Southwest Conference in total offense, and only the second Owl ever to account for at least 2,000 total yards in one season. Hollis, the junior from Rosenberg, joined by Henley, the slot back, and Cobb, really the lone setback in most of their formations. You saw the receivers, and up front, Teichelman, Reeves, Sagina, Cook, and Baldwin.
And I think if you're a Rice Owl, you couldn't have asked for it to start off any better than to hold Arkansas and get the ball right back.
Deep in their own end, first pass of the day is caught by Merritt Robinson, a junior 2-year letterman from Los Angeles. Guided out of bounds by Anthony Cooney. As we look at the Arkansas defense, and this is one of the better units in the conference this year, Ollison, Rowland, and Shepard will be up front in their 3-4. With Benson, Barrow, Thomas, and Mason, the linebackers. And the secondary, Banks starts ahead of Michael James at one corner, with Williams, Jackson, and Cooney also back there. Quick pass again. This one caught at the 21 by Trevor Cobb, a true freshman from Pasadena Dobie. Not far from here. Ty Mason made the stop for Arkansas. What does Rice have to do today?
Well, first of all, it all revolves around Donald Hollis, who's the middle must. First of all, find Eric Henley. He is having just a marvelous season. Donald Hollis will be the one that can find him and avoid fatigue. That's been their biggest factor, is that late in the games they get worn down. And we'll talk more about Fred Goldsmith's plan to rotate these players both on offense and defense.
First time on the ground, and this is Cobb. And he stopped a good 5 yards shy of the first down. Nick Thomas, the Reed linebacker, a sophomore from Bakersfield, California, on the tackle there. That'll set up the 3rd and about 4-5 situation. You see Cobb's numbers for the year. He is now their starting running back because Richard Williams tore up a knee in the A&M loss last week and underwent his career-ending surgery, unfortunately, just a couple of days ago. 3 wideouts as usual, and they send Cobb in motion out of the backfield. Hollis is chased by Barrow, gets it off and complete to Melvin Turner, and his tight end has the Owl first down up near the 40-yard line. Banks with the tackle, a gain of 17.
I can't tell you how hard that is to throw that pass on the dead run with good coverage. Now watch the flush right at the middle. Now he's got to throw this ball on a dead run, and watch where he hits his receiver. Watch where Turner gets the ball. We're not talking about him having to reach or anything. Right in the hands. When you're big and strong, as Hollis is at 6'3", 215, you can just flip that ball with your arm and deliver it 20 yards downfield. Boy, that is a big pass to keep this drive alive for Rice.
Melvin Turner, the 3rd leading Owl receiver. And Hollis with great protection here. Now Rowland gives chase, and Hollis, the leading ground gainer, as well as passer, of course, for the Owl offense, up across the 45, a gain of 7.
Well, this is not pressuring Donald Hollis, and this is what's going to get them upset. That's Chad Rowland in the middle. He just gets double-teamed in there. Now, you see number 98, that's Michael Shepard. He's playing a spy tackle. That way you just don't get any, you just don't allow that, you just don't get that rush on the quarterback. You just can't sit back there and let Hollis just pick you to death.
Hollis averaging 4.5 yards per carry this year. That is phenomenal for a quarterback, because you also have to factor in sacks. And again, the protection there. All kinds of room up the middle, and a first down into Arkansas territory for 5 yards. Mick Thomas, leading Arkansas tackler, with the stop, and there are the running numbers for Hollis.
Well, one of the things with a scrambling quarterback that you have got to do is, number one, you have to contain him. Don't allow him to get outside the pocket. Secondly, you have to get that pressure up the middle and keep him in front of you. And now Arkansas is getting their offensive linemen, their defensive linemen are getting split and allowing Hollis to find that little seam, and he's run successfully so far in this drive.
First time into Arkansas territory. And on the ground, Trevor Cobb, quick tackle by Chad Rowland, the nose guard, the junior from Sherman, Texas.
Well, that's as well as you can play the nose position. What Rowland did that time, hit into his center, played across the line well. The play dropped back behind him, and he dove back in for a tackle. You just don't want to get cut off from that nose position, and he did not.
This is a tough team to run against. The opponents average only 3 1/3 yards per carry, and only 4 rushing touchdowns allowed all year by Arkansas.
That's because they practice against the run all the time.
Cobb again in motion, and Hollis all day to look. Cobb all alone at the 30. Keeps his footing. Patrick Williams on his back and down at the 20, a gain of 30, but a flag down. And it is back about where Hollis released that, so you have to wonder about offensive holding.
Yes, that's what it's going to be. What Arkansas did was they did a loop on the outside. They take their end, they loop their end out, and you'll see the man come up the middle. Now watch right there. You see the hold right there? Well, that's a hold and a tackle. And that's the way Mr. Teichelman will get his name mentioned.
Bud Alexander is our referee today.
When I say loop, Dave, what they're doing is they send one man out, and they do like a twist in the middle. And that's a good way to get pressure. Hollis was able to avoid it, and obviously that's why he avoided it, because the man got tackled in there.
Greg Goldsmith likes to spread it around, although Henley's caught most of the passes. Lots of folks have contributed in his offensive scheme.
Well, that was a big penalty, resulting in about a 40-yard loss.
Back at their own 40, and Hollis through Henley's hands. As he goes to him for the first time, Aaron Jackson, the converted running back, had the coverage. Henley, the number 3 receiver in the nation. 63 catches coming in. If he catches 14 more, he has the single-season record here, and that's saying something, because down through the years, they have not had winning teams, but they've had great passing stats.
Well, it was an interesting comment by Fred Goldsmith also. He said things are going to get better here before Eric leaves. He wants to see Eric have that feeling of success, and he says they're going to get better before he leaves.
He's got 2 more years. This is a sophomore from Ontario, California. Hollis again looking straight back all the time he needs until now. And with the Razorback on his ankle, somehow he finds Trevor Cobb back in Razorback territory, a gain of 15.
You remember I talked about the strength on that first play? This is another play with that great strength. Watch this. No place to go. He steps up. Now watch, he's going to get hit. Most quarterbacks go down right there. He doesn't. Gathers his composure, comes back up. Now watch the arm. Bam, just from the shoulder, just boom, just throws that ball out there and picks up nice yardage.
Well, Scott Long had him in the grass, but of course that's a pro rule, and Bobby Schrader lines one going for the corner. They will mark it out of bounds up near the 25-yard line. Nothing game. 8:37 to go in the first quarter here at Rice Stadium in Houston. Starts from their 24-yard line. They have to breathe a big sigh of relief because of that penalty.
Oh, boy, that penalty. You know, you often look at penalties in that you say, well, it's early in the game, it's insignificant. But that not only is a 40-yard penalty, that holding call, but it also doesn't allow them to get a scoring drive. Let's look at our Dr. Pepper roundup at Clemson, North Carolina early in the second quarter. North Carolina not having a good season, to say the least.
Grovey to Rouse. Cut back. A lot of room in the middle. And a first down up to the 40. Bill Stone, the bandit outside linebacker, making the tackle on Rouse, one of only 3,000-yard gainers in Arkansas history.
You want to see what a hole looks like. Now watch the vision here. We talk a lot about vision. Boom, you cut right back inside here, get behind those big linemen. I'm going to tell you, since the Texas game, I think James Rouse has run much better. I think he's run just with more authority. It just seems like he's more confident. I don't know what got into his bonnet, but something did. He's got a buzz on him because he's just running much better.
So they try him again. And Shine, the nose guard, there to greet him after a pickup of 4. You would think, when you look statistically at these two teams, Dave, that the Arkansas scheme today is just run it, but Ken Hatfield told us before the game that's not really the case.
Well, it's true, because what happens is you fall into Rice's hands. You've got to go out and you've got to attack this secondary. When you look back at Rice's secondary, you're looking at sophomore, and junior. Very young, very untested. He feels that they have to challenge that way also.
First man through this time, Foster, and he goes nowhere. Joel Dawson was right there, the left defensive end, along with Paul Brotze, defensive tackle. Something else is going to be different for the Rice defense today is the substitution pattern.
Yes, they're going to try to switch a lot of players. They're going to let their first team players play 8 plays. Then they're going to try to switch, not all at once, but they'll switch individually. Let them play about 8 plays and then come out and rest 3 or 4, then go back in for another series, because as we talked with Fred Goldsmith and his staff, they feel that they just wear down late in the game, especially when you look at this Arkansas team. They can wear down anybody.
Rouse went in motion. Kerwin Price is in for the first time, and down will go Grovey. Loss of 7 yards on the sack by Corey Seymour, a true freshman from Houston-Madison. He's the cousin of Kenny King, the former Oakland Raider.
Well, watch this play. You're going to see that this doesn't look like Quinn Grovey is as sharp as he was last week, obviously. Just doesn't avoid the pressure. It goes down for a sack, brings up 4th down and 12. Now, that's important that Grovey gets that good start, because he's a spurt player. When he gets that good start, he just really starts well, and everything seems to go well, and he just builds on it.
Henley on the short punt return out of bounds, 35-yard line of Rice. They're still scoreless. We're midway first quarter after a 30-yard punt by Meacham. Rice with another crack at it. They start from their 35-yard line after the short punt by Alan Meacham. As usual, 3 wideouts and